Chapter 12:33. I'm helping the Moon Empress, so retract your aura. Otherwise, if your aura erupts, it might distract the Moon Empress, who is fighting against the heavens. Xian Yu's eyes flickered when she heard the first half of Cicada Cry's words. However, he had no intention of stopping. The second half of the cicada's words made Xian Yu struggle for a moment. He decisively dispersed the aura on his body. Mystic Moon had a certain understanding of Cicada Cry's signature fey, the kind voyage cicada. Among the 13 His Eminences, only His Eminence Cicada Cry was a pure support-type spirit chi professional. Every year that the cicada of Merciful Boar accumulated its melody of Merciful Boar, it could help the target recover their soul energy once. The fact that Cicada Cry was willing to give all the compassionate voice of the cicada of the Merciful Voyage, which had been accumulated for 23 years, to the Moon Empress meant that Cicada Cry didn't have any bad intentions. Not only did Cicada Cry give the Moon Empress 23 years of compassionate voice, but it also activated the sacred source life form, intent dispelling wind. Every time the sacred source life form's intent unraveling wind was used, it would reduce 1% of the owner's lifespan. Mystic Moon, who had calmed down, knew that Cicada Cry had sacrificed so much and was even willing to consume his lifespan. It was impossible for him to harm the Moon Empress. At the same time, Xian Yu was secretly shocked by Cicada Cry's strength. In that instant, Cicada Cry had suppressed him to the point where he couldn't move. This meant that Cicada Cry and the Moon Empress had both taken that step and were much stronger than him. According to the strength of the pressure, Mystic Moon was basically certain that Cicada Cry's strength was inferior to the Moon Empress. But it wouldn't be too far off. Just as Mystic Moon was about to ask Cicada Cry why the Moon Empress didn't have a second chance, the Moon Empress figure had already passed through the Moon Shadow Corridor and arrived at the inner palace. At that moment, the Moon Empress, who was hugging the bunny, was no different from usual. Seeing Chan Mingyue floating in midair, he said, "Against the wind, Jie, Cicada Ming, you've made a lot of progress these past few years." Hearing this, Cicada Cry raised his hand and a blazing yellow wood box appeared in his hand. Upon seeing the box made of blazing yellow wood, the Moon Empress' eyes flickered with an indescribable emotion. Mystic Moon handed the blazing yellow wooden box to the Moon Empress and said, "This is the geocentric jade milk the old man gave you. After drinking this drop of geocentric jade milk, it will increase your lifespan by 1 year. I'll leave first. Take care." For the Moon Empress to come out so quickly meant that she had failed to break through to that realm. Fickle people were often the most emotional. Cicada Cry, who knew that the Moon Empress did not have much lifespan left, did not wish to stay in the Radiant Moon Palace any longer and see an old friend who would turn into bones in a few years' time. Cicada Cry, who had always been calm, could not help but feel an urge to charge into the Freedom Federation and start a massacre. The Moon Empress looked at the blazing yellow wood box in her hand with a complicated expression. "Thanks for this time. I owe you a favor. I will return it in the future. Also, thank the old man for me." After the cicadas left, the frantic Mystic Moon couldn't help but ask the Moon Empress, "Moon Empress, your body." The Moon Empress handed the blazing yellow wooden box to Xian Yu and said, "All right. This time, I failed to break through to the next realm. My fate will be dormant for 5 years, and my lifespan will be shortened. I still have 3 years. Send this drop of geocentric immortal milk to Little Yuan when he returns from the Divine Wood Federation." Mystic Moon panicked when he heard the Moon Empress words. Xian Yu had never heard of any of this before. However, now was clearly not the time to dwell on this issue. The Moon Empress did not have much lifespan left. If the Moon Empress used this drop of geocentric immortal milk, her lifespan would immediately increase by 1 year. Under such circumstances, why didn't the Moon Empress use the geocentric immortal milk herself? Why did she give the geocentric immortal milk to His Highness? Could it be because the geocentric immortal milk could cleanse the body of impurities and allow it to be reborn? Even Mystic Moon, who had always been obedient to the Moon Empress, couldn't help but suggest stubbornly, "Moon Empress, I feel that this geocentric immortal milk should be used by you. The little prince is still young. With the little prince's talent, even without the geocentric jade milk, there will be a chance for him to shed his mortal body in the future, Yang Kai said. The Moon Empress looked up at the sky when she heard Mystic Moon's words. With the help of Cicada Cry's main fae, the compassionate cicada, and the sacred source life form, the intent unraveling wind, the Moon Empress had once again used her life providence to attack the path to heaven. In the end, the Moon Empress actually managed to see through some of the secrets of the path to heaven with her final attack. The Moon Empress felt that it was very likely that she would be able to see through the path to heaven the next time her life providence was revived. However, the Moon Empress also knew that her lifespan couldn't wait any longer. Even if he took this geocentric jade milk, he still wouldn't be able to wait for the next 5 years. Treasures like the geocentric jade milk that could increase one's lifespan were not to be eaten casually. After a person took the geocentric jade milk, a treasure that could increase their lifespan, they would need a period of time to digest the medicinal efficacy of the treasure. In other words, once the geocentric jade milk was consumed, it would take 3 to 4 years to completely increase 1 year of lifespan. Not to mention that treasures like the geocentric jade milk that could increase one's lifespan were hard to find. Even if it was easy to find, the Moon Empress wouldn't be able to use other life-extending treasures to extend her lifespan for 3 to 4 years after consuming the geocentric jade milk. His fate was set. No matter how proud the Moon Empress was, she had to acknowledge her fate. In the Moon Empress' opinion, giving this drop of geocentric jade milk to Lin Yuan was the best choice. In the last moments of her life, the Moon Empress' only hope was to see Lin Yuan grow step by step, to become a Radiance envoy and to become a happy person. It was also the Moon Empress who would groom Lin Yuan into a Radiance envoy. In the last moments of his life, it was the most meaningful thing he could do for the entire Radiance Federation. Upon seeing Mystic Moon's worried expression, the Moon Empress explained softly, "Only Cicada Cry and the old man know about my body's condition. It's fine if you find out about this matter from Cicada Cry, but don't tell little Yuan and Cold Moon. Mystic Moon, you should be clear about the impact this matter will have on others." When Mystic Moon heard the determination in the Moon Empress' words, he quickly swallowed his words. Looking at the blazing yellow wooden box in his hand, Mystic Moon said, "Moon Empress, His Highness called you in the morning. Moon Empress, His Young Highness called you in the morning. Why don't I inform His Highness now? Why don't I inform His Highness now? Originally, we agreed to inform His Highness as soon as you come out of seclusion." Mystic Moon felt that in this world, only Lin Yuan would be able to persuade the Moon Empress. However, the Moon Empress had clearly said that she didn't want him to tell Lin Yuan about this matter. If it was in the past, Mystic Moon would definitely listen to the Moon Empress' instructions. However, in order for the Moon Empress to live for 1 more year, Mystic Moon couldn't care so much anymore. Mystic Moon had already decided to inform Lin Yuan about this matter, even if he would be punished by the Moon Empress. Chapter 1234. When the Moon Empress heard that, a trace of gentleness flashed in her eyes. "In that case, you don't have to worry. There are still a few hours before dinner. Little Yuan hasn't had dinner with me in the Radiant Moon Palace for a long time. Little Yuan can come to the Radiant Moon Palace to have a meal with me tonight." Before her fate was decided, the Moon Empress would rarely take the initiative to look for Lin Yuan to have a meal in the Radiant Moon Palace. It was true that the Moon Empress liked Lin Yuan to be by her side, but she also hoped that Lin Yuan could fight for a bright future outside. But now, fate had been decided, and there was no turning back. As an expert who relied on strength to speak, the Moon Empress understood what it meant to die. He knew that everything ended after death. There was no such thing as an afterlife. At the thought of the remaining 3 years of lifespan, the Moon Empress only hoped that Lin Yuan could come to the Radiant Moon Palace a few more times when he had the time without affecting him. As her disciple, Lin Yuan was undoubtedly the person closest to the Moon Empress. Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Mystic Moon's nose involuntarily turned sour. The current Moon Empress gave Mystic Moon a feeling of a hero past her prime. Based on the Moon Empress realm, she was in the prime of her life. The Moon Empress, who was in her prime, had no choice but to guard her remaining 3 years of lifespan. However, there was nothing Xian Yu could do about it. If possible, Mystic Moon was even willing to exchange lifespan with the Moon Empress. 3 years later, his lifespan would be exhausted and he would die. The more he saw the relieved expression on the Moon Empress' face, the more his heart ached. Xian Yu, who couldn't bear to look at the Moon Empress' expression, tilted her head and said softly, "Moon Empress, His Young Highness is here to enjoy the evening meal. I'll order my men to go and prepare." Upon hearing that, the Moon Empress placed the listless Zishi on the jade table. "Why don't we just let little Yuan consume the geocentric immortal milk tonight? After taking the geocentric immortal milk, little Yuan should be able to contract the golden wing. In order for little Yuan to perfectly absorb the geocentric immortal milk, we need to add more soul-protecting spirit ingredients to our dinner tonight. This Empress has nothing to do, so let this Empress prepare dinner. Xian Yu, come and help me." Upon hearing that, Mystic Moon knew that she could not take this opportunity to inform Lin Yuan. Seeing that the Moon Empress was still walking with her usual firm and noble steps, Mystic Moon's throat tightened. "Moon Empress, Black Moon will accompany you 3 years later." Upon hearing Mystic Moon's words, the Moon Empress immediately reprimanded. "Xian Yu, what nonsense are you talking about? After I leave, you will still have a life that belongs to you. I won't make plans for your future, but I still hope that you can help little Yuan more." As she spoke, the Moon Empress could not help but think of Lin Yuan's performance during the Blood Oath Extreme Duel in Sky City. In just a few short months, Sky City had developed from obscurity to a behemoth in his hands. The Moon Empress' heart was filled with gratification and pride. Hearing this, Xian Yu's usually clear and bright face couldn't help but become excited again. "Moon Empress, you didn't allow me to tell Cold Moon and the Young Highness about this. You know Tsang Yu's temper the best. Once Tsang Yu finds out, she will definitely make the same choice as me. Also, Lin Yuan is your disciple. Your feelings for the Young Highness are the same as the Young Highness' feelings for you. If the Young Highness is in danger and has only 3 years of lifespan left, will you accept it?" Upon hearing Mystic Moon's words, the Moon Empress turned to look at Mystic Moon deeply and didn't say anything else. Mystic Moon and Cold Moon had both accepted disciples. After 3 years, the bonds between Mystic Moon and Wen Yu, as well as Cold Moon and Chu Ci, would become deeper. At that time, Mystic Moon and Cold Moon would make the right choice. As for Lin Yuan, the Moon Empress had considered many aspects before making her choice. If she told Lin Yuan about her situation, would he still feel at ease using the geocentric jade milk? If she told Lin Yuan after he drank the geocentric jade milk, he would definitely not feel good. Lin Yuan had just turned 18 this year, and the next 3 years would be the 3 years where he would improve the fastest. During these 3 years, the Moon Empress could still protect Lin Yuan. The Moon Empress didn't want Lin Yuan to have any distractions because of her. It would affect Lin Yuan's progress in the next 3 years. The Moon Empress had prepared sumptuous ingredients for tonight's dinner. After the jade-pecking blood swallow evolved to suzerain, the bird's nest would also have the quality of jade. After the jade-pecking blood swallow's jade-like bird's nest was stewed, it could replenish one's blood qi for a period of time. It was just like a blood pump for blood production. The jade-pecking blood swallow's bird's nest was comparable to the life-form silence among the fire-type spiritual ingredients. At present, there were 16 or 17 other ingredients that were on the same level as the jade-pecking blood swallow's nest. If any of these ingredients were to appear in the world, it would cause a huge uproar in the outside world and cause various factions to fight over them. In the origin world, countries that had good relations with each other would often give each other national gifts. Any one of these ingredients was enough to be given as a national gift to a foreign country. It was obvious how precious these ingredients were. Seeing how the Moon Empress handled these ingredients without blinking, Mystic Moon knew how much she was willing to give Lin Yuan. If the Moon Empress used these ingredients herself, she definitely wouldn't use so many at once. However, when it came to Lin Yuan, the Moon Empress would not care about the usage and cost of these precious ingredients. However, in order for Lin Yuan to perfectly absorb the geocentric jade milk's energy and shed his mortal body, every ingredient here was indispensable. He saw that the Moon Empress was determined to let Lin Yuan consume the geocentric jade milk tonight. Mystic Moon increasingly felt that she should personally make a trip to the return from faraway mansion and explain the Moon Empress situation to Lin Yuan. While Mystic Moon was pondering, he didn't know that the Moon Empress had already seen through his thoughts. Xian Yu looked at the time and said to the Moon Empress, "Moon Empress, it's getting late. I will go invite the young lord now." Just as Mystic Moon finished speaking, the Moon Empress looked at Mystic Moon and spoke meaningfully. "Xian Yu, you handle the ingredients here. This Empress will personally call little Yuan. I've already made up my mind. Don't disappoint me tonight." After speaking, the Moon Empress turned and left the kitchen. Looking at the Moon Empress back view, Mystic Moon's eyes revealed a mournful expression. Lin Yuan was already in Sky City's private faction territory, waiting for the Blissful Sea clan's current family head, Qi Wangyang, and young family head, Qi Haitao. Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao carefully stood in front of Lin Yuan. However, their heads were lowered, and their expressions weren't looking good. Qi Wangyang's forehead was covered in fine cold sweat. At that moment, Lin Yuan was looking at Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao as though he was looking at fools. "Exciting, truly exciting. Your Blissful Sea clan is really scheming. Are you treating our Sky City as fools?" 166 Reading Network. Chapter 12:35. Upon hearing his words, Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang were shocked. The two of them quickly raised their heads, wanting to explain. However, Lin Yuan did not give them a chance to explain and continued speaking. "I don't know what you're thinking. You're still thinking of doing business with Sky City in this life and death situation. You don't have the right to talk business with Sky City right now. The Blissful Ocean clan has offended the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. The Miao family's Beast Creation Garden is applying to the Spirit Guards for a blood oath battle with the Blissful Ocean clan. If the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden insists, the Spirit Guards will enforce it even if you don't agree. It's impossible for the Blissful Ocean clan to win against the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. According to the rules of the Blood Oath Extreme Battle, the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden will be able to decide your life and death, as well as the assets of the Blissful Ocean clan. Do you think the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden will let you and your son live?" Each of Lin Yuan's words was like a knife stabbing into Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang's hearts. It was because of this that Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang were at their wits' end. He braced himself and found Sky City, which had a feud with the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. The two of them had come here with the intention of fomenting the enmity between Sky City and the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden in exchange for certain benefits. But based on Lin Yuan's reaction, Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao knew that this path was no longer viable. After Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang fell into a long silence, Lin Yuan's brows furrowed tightly. It seemed like Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang had yet to understand the situation. The Miao family had just started the blood oath battle with the Blissful Ocean clan at the Beast Creation Garden. It was not enough for Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao to feel a sense of impending death. Under such circumstances, there was no point in continuing the conversation with Qi Haitao and Qi Wangyang. Just as Lin Yuan was about to give up, Qi Wangyang lifted his head and revealed a fawning smile at Lin Yuan. She then asked Lin Yuan cautiously, "Just now, I was blinded by lard and offended the city lord. If the city lord can help the Blissful Sea tribe overcome this crisis, we, the Blissful Sea tribe, will give you 50% of the shares of Sky City. When the time comes, the Sea of Bliss will give half of their profits to Sky City. Sky City won't have to worry about the management and operation of the Sea of Bliss. Sky City can also exchange for top-grade angelfish of bliss from the Blissful Sea tribe with 50% of the shares." Qi Wangyang quickly focused his attention and looked into Lin Yuan's eyes. 3 seconds later, Qi Wangyang saw that Lin Yuan had no intention of nodding, so he continued speaking. According to the rules of the Blood Oath Battle, after Sky City helps the Ocean Clan of Bliss defeat the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden, the Ocean Clan of Bliss will have full authority over the resources and the lives of the members of the Miao family's Beast Creation Garden. When the time comes, we, the Blissful Sea tribe, will hand over this power to Sky City. Sky City will take over all the resources of the Miao family's beast creation garden and decide the fate of the Miao family. Upon hearing Qi Wangyang's words, Lin Yuan laughed in anger. Before Qi Wangyang, the clan head of the Ocean Clan of Bliss, had sought Sky City's help. He had been dreaming of taking over the Miao family's beast creation garden's resources. Lin Yuan felt that even a pig's brain would not be dreaming of such a big dream at this time. Lin Yuan did not intend to kill the Miao family's beast creation garden. Otherwise, after the blood oath battle with the Zheng family, Lin Yuan could use the excuse that the Miao family had experts for the Zheng family to launch a blood oath battle against the Miao family's beast creation garden. However, Lin Yuan did not do so. On one hand, the creation master resources in the Miao family's beast creation garden were not useful to him. On the other hand, the Miao family's beast creation garden had a relationship with the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags. Lin Yuan also wanted to use the cooperation between the Miao family's beast creation garden and the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags. He wanted to see if he could get another strange plant seed from the Whale Ocean Trade's 10,000 flags. With the strange plant seed, Red Thorn's tongue of relinquish could continue to evolve. Therefore, even if he defeated the Miao family's beast creation garden in the blood oath battle, Lin Yuan would only harvest the Miao family's beast creation garden's resources. In order to keep the Whale Ocean Trade wary of the beast creation garden. After the beast creation garden lost 3 Emperor-class experts, if they found him again, he might have to create a few more Emperor-class experts for the beast creation garden. Before he obtained the strange plant seed from the Miao family's beast creation garden, Lin Yuan did not want to kill the Miao family. I'm going to tell everyone that I've been using the reading app recently. There are many book sources, all books, and updates quickly. Since Lin Yuan was wearing a mask, no one could see the true meaning behind his smile. Qi Wangyang subconsciously thought that Lin Yuan was smiling because his words had worked. Qi Wangyang quickly struck while the iron was hot. City Lord, the Miao family's beast creation garden sent 2 Emperor-class experts because they wanted to help the Zheng family destroy Sky City. If you attack the Miao family now, not only will you have a good reason to do so, but you can also show Sky City's strength. Let Sky City be respected by the other factions. If Sky City defeats the Miao family's beast creation garden in the blood oath battle, Sky City will at least be ranked in the top 15 next year. Lin Yuan was now extremely annoyed with Qi Wangyang. Lin Yuan could accept making a deal with a fool. However, he could not accept making a deal with a fool who did not know what was good for him. The EMSP card had the function of binding with the cell phone. If it was an internal matter, there would be a reminder. Seeing that his master had called him, Lin Yuan immediately retreated to the private territory. Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao looked at each other in dismay. The boastful Qi Wangyang's face immediately darkened. Bean-sized beads of sweat rolled down his face. The blissful Sea Clan and Sky City had previously cooperated with each other. Qi Wangyang and Qi Haitao knew that in their cooperation with Sky City, they had used the blissful immortal fish to cheat Sky City. Therefore, when looking for help, Qi Wangyang had not thought of Sky City at first. He knew that Qi Wangyang had shamelessly visited many top factions and had been rebuffed. Then he turned his gaze to Sky City. But now, he seemed to have angered Sky City's city lord. What should he do now? Lin Yuan picked up the Moon Empress's call and heard that she had come out of seclusion. She asked him to go to the Radiant Moon Palace to have a meal together. Lin Yuan hurriedly said with a smile, "Master, I haven't had time to take a bath since I came back from the Divine Wood Federation. I'll head to the Radiant Moon Palace immediately after." After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan waved his hand and held the longevity rat in his hand. He said to the longevity rat, "Little thing, you'll be able to see your true master in a while." 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1236. Before the longevity rat received the pure spirit chi baptism and metamorphosed into a fae, it already had extraordinary intelligence. Although it was not as intelligent as a housekeeping beast like Genius, it was not much different from Chimey. It was similar to Chimey before it had metamorphosed into a fae. The longevity rat, which had transformed into a fae, could not speak yet, but it could easily understand Lin Yuan's words. For example, when Lin Yuan fed the soldier radish to the longevity rat, he found that it preferred to nibble on the soldier radish's vine stem. The vine stem's nutrient content was far less than the soldier radish's leaves. Therefore, Lin Yuan asked the longevity rat to nibble on the soldier radish's leaves. Although the longevity rat preferred to eat the stem, it still obediently ate the leaves. Under Lin Yuan's command, the longevity rat still obediently ate the leaves. The longevity rat found that Lin Yuan's attention was on other things and did not have the energy to care about itself. Only then would it nibble on the soldier radish's vine stem and turn around to peek at Lin Yuan. It was as though it was afraid that Lin Yuan would find out that it was secretly eating. This level of intelligence was not much different from a 5-year-old human child. When it heard Lin Yuan say that he was going to find a master to send it out, the longevity rat immediately spun around on Lin Yuan's palm. It was so anxious that it kept stomping its feet and looked at Lin Yuan with pitiful eyes. It had an expression that said, "How can you not want me when I'm so cute?" Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan quickly circulated his spiritual power, and pure spirit qi spread out from his palm. Lin Yuan thought that the pure spirit qi from his palm would be enough to appease the longevity rat. Who would have thought that after sensing the pure spirit qi, the longevity rat would feel even more wronged? Its small eyes even squeezed out 2 drops of crystal tears, wetting the longevity rat's orange eyelids. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan immediately understood that this little fellow was worried that it would not be able to sense this pure spirit qi if it left his side. This was the only explanation that made sense. Why did the longevity rat feel even more wronged after sensing the pure spirit qi? Lin Yuan said as he rubbed the longevity rat's soft and tight fur. You only have 1 year of lifespan. If you don't form a contract with someone, you will quickly absorb spiritual ingredients that contain vitality. After 1 year, you won't have the chance to feel the pure spirit qi even if you want to. After a year, even if you want to experience pure spiritual energy, you won't have the chance. When you get to your new master, you can eat any spirit materials that can increase your life force. You'll be able to continue living and experience the pure spiritual qi whenever you want. Do you still remember being chased by other fays in the forest? Form a contract with your new master. Your new master will protect you. This kind of exhausting life will never happen to you again. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's guarantee, the longevity rat slowly calmed down. Then, the longevity rat's 2 small claws grabbed Lin Yuan's fingers and shook them gently. She looked as if she was reluctant to leave him even if it was like this. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan said with a gentle smile, "Your new master is my master. Usually, I will go to my master's place. We will have many opportunities to meet. After you go there, you can even meet a stingy rabbit who loves to eat carrots. That stingy rabbit is just like you, living a carefree life all day long. The 2 of you should be able to get along very well." As Lin Yuan spoke, she was lying on the table listlessly in the Radiant Moon Palace's inner palace. The carrots were casually planted in the jade basin beside her. She's eyes flickered with purple, and large teardrops rolled down her cheeks. However, whenever a teardrop rolled onto the table, she seemed to be afraid of being seen by others. She hurriedly used her white forelegs to wipe away the teardrops. The carrots planted in the basin beside her could no longer arouse she's interest. If she could know what Lin Yuan said to the longevity rat, even if Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress disciple, she would definitely pick up the carrots and let Lin Yuan know the joy of hiding them. You're the one who's comfortable. I'm cultivating by eating carrots, okay? It's scary to be ignorant. Also, I'm not stingy at all. Many experts in the world want to smell my carrots, but I refuse. You didn't just nibble on the skin of my carrots, you even ate half of them. My carrots have yet to recover. Angry. After comforting the longevity rat, Lin Yuan was ready to return to his room to take a bath. The conditions in the Divine Wood Federation were limited, and Lin Yuan had no chance to take a bath. Lin Yuan's body genes had been optimized. Lin Yuan's skin, which had been optimized, had the ability to resist dust. However, daily bathing had long become Lin Yuan's habit. If he didn't bathe for a day, Lin Yuan would feel uncomfortable all over his body. Listening to the sound of running water while bathing, Lin Yuan could also calm down and consider his recent gains and losses. During this trip to the Divine Wood Federation, he had easily opened up the situation of the entire Agon continent. He was now a major shareholder and honorary president of the Sincerity Chamber of Commerce. It was tantamount to opening up the trade route of the Agon continent, and it also gave him a local force belonging to the Deepburn Federation. Tali's Iron Hoof tribe gave him an official identity to develop in the Iron Hammer Federation. Luo Ye, who was born in a 2-star family, was considered a noble in the Divine Wood Federation. Through Luo Ye, he could quickly develop and infiltrate the Divine Wood Federation. Everything was going smoothly on the Agon continent. When Su Iran, who was currently in the Divine Wood Federation, came to his side, as the former Gloom envoy, she could very well assist him in development. As for the Swamp World, Lin Yuan didn't even dare to think about recruiting an expert of Bai Yan's level. Bai Yan occupied the Dark Scorpion Apostles' territory, and the Dark Scorpion Apostles' territory blocked his territory. It was tantamount to fundamentally isolating the dangerous factors in his territory. This way, Shi Teng, Wendy, and Bai Xian could quickly develop their strength and strengthen their faith through a steady stream of marsh crocodiles. Everything was so prosperous. Thinking of this, a smile appeared on Lin Yuan's face. It seemed that when he returned to the Divine Wood Federation, he should take the initiative to do something. After bathing, Lin Yuan chose a set of sky blue and moon yellow spirit chi clothes that Wen Yu had designed not long ago. Lin Yuan's spirit chi clothes had always been white, black, and blue. Lin Yuan had almost never worn this kind of sky blue and moon yellow spirit chi clothes. The patterns on this sky blue and moon yellow spirit chi clothes were all made of jadeite craftsmanship. The belly hair of the diamond clear light aureole was collaged on the surface of the metal-based spirit chi clothes. Then, the ice silkworm silk thread was threaded through the jadeite craftsmanship and embroidered into the style of the rising sun cloud pattern. The gold-threaded jade beads covered the belly hair of the clear light aureole, and the bright color made the entire spirit chi clothes look unusually soft at first glance. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1237. The moon yellow color of the spirit chi clothes and the large area of sky blue on the outside added a bright and smooth aura to the style of the whole spirit chi clothes. Coupled with Lin Yuan's natural temperament, Lin Yuan's outstanding looks were suddenly pulled up by a lot. Lin Yuan looked at himself in the mirror and didn't feel any difference from the past. As soon as Lin Yuan left the room, he saw Lu Jie rushing back from the land of spirit suppression. When Lu Jie saw Lin Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up, he could not help but sigh in his heart. Compared to black and dark blue, Lin Yuan is undoubtedly more suitable to wear light-colored clothes. People without good looks would only look uglier in light-colored clothes. If a person with good looks but no temperament wore light-colored clothes, it would be boring at first glance. Only someone like Lin Yuan, who had excellent looks and temperament, would be able to hold on perfectly when wearing light-colored spirit chi clothing. At the same time, it gave off a very clean feeling. Upon seeing that Lu Jie had returned to the mansion and was ready to cook, Lin Yuan hurriedly said, "Brother Lu, I was just about to call you. I'm going to Master's place to eat tonight. You don't have to bring me dinner tonight. Wen Yu has just eaten the fishball noodles and grilled chicken wings you made this morning. She'll probably sleep until tomorrow morning." Lu Jie nodded. "That's great. The mother of Bloodbath didn't have enough to eat because it wanted to save the chicken wings for Wen Yu this morning. If it's just me and the mother of Bloodbath eating in the mansion tonight, I can roast some chicken wings and bird fays for the mother of Bloodbath. Let the mother of Bloodbath have a good meal." After speaking to Lu Jie, Lin Yuan immediately used the ethereal jellyfish's node teleportation. After a few shuttles, he arrived at the Radiant Moon Palace's entrance with ease. When he arrived at the entrance of the Radiant Moon Palace, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. In the past, the 2 silver stamen gold luster caches in front of the Radiant Moon Palace would always bloom and sway their branches. Under the dusk, the silver stamen blossomed with a silver radiance that could even overshadow the sunset. But now, the flower buds of these silver stamen gold luster cassia were all tightly closed, and the cassia branches drooped weakly. Lin Yuan made a judgment based on the knowledge he had grasped. This was a kind of budding state, and it was definitely the performance of a plant fae when it was in extreme sorrow. But why would the 2 silver stamen gold luster Kasha be sad? Could something have happened to the Radiant Moon Palace? With this thought in mind, he hurriedly walked through the Radiant Moon Palace's door and arrived at the front hall. As a result, Lin Yuan realized that the 4 tea attendants were still standing in the front hall as usual. It looked as if nothing had happened at all. The eldest of the 4 tea attendants, Kai Cha, quickly came over and greeted him politely. "Your Highness, today's dinner was personally cooked by the Moon Empress using the spiritual ingredients personally selected by her. At this time, the Black Moon Envoy should be in the kitchen helping the Moon Empress watch over the fire. The Moon Empress should be waiting for young Lord in the inner hall." Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan greeted the 4 tea attendants one by one and walked toward the inner palace. The 4 tea attendants' reactions allowed Lin Yuan to relax. It seemed like he had been overthinking. It was just that the 2 silver stamen gold luster Kashas didn't have any problems. When he saw the Moon Empress later, he felt that he should mention the situation of the 2 silver stamen gold luster Kashas to her. Before Lin Yuan could reach the inner palace, he saw Mystic Moon, who looked troubled. Lin Yuan asked curiously upon seeing Mystic Moon. "Uncle Xian, Kai Cha said that you are in the kitchen. Are you standing here to wait for me?" When Mystic Moon saw Lin Yuan, she immediately stepped forward and said to him, "Your Highness, that drop of geocentric immortal milk tonight, you..." Before Mystic Moon could finish his sentence, the Moon Empress voice echoed from the inner palace. "Little Yuan, quickly come to the rear hall and take a look at the spirit siphon goldfish that Master has just bred." The Moon Empress was using Spirit Chi voice transmission, and even if her voice was far away, it could still be clearly transmitted to other people's ears. This ability was exclusive to S-class and above powerhouses. Lin Yuan was only a C-rank Spirit Chi professional and didn't possess such abilities yet. Thus, Lin Yuan couldn't immediately respond to the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress voice interrupted Xian Yu's words. As a result, Lin Yuan only heard Mystic Moon mention the geocentric jade milk. Lin Yuan knew that the geocentric jade milk was a rare fae. Back then, when his master, the Moon Empress, was talking about top-notch spiritual ingredients, she had specially mentioned the geocentric jade milk. In the world, there was a type of most precious spiritual ingredient, and it was known as a rare item. All sorts of rare items were compiled into a rare item list, and there were a total of 100 types of rare items on the list. The geocentric jade milk happened to be ranked 17th among the 100 types of rare items. In fact, all the rare items on the rare item list had special functions. They had effects that other rare items couldn't replace. Therefore, the rare item list couldn't determine the true value of the rare item. In Lin Yuan's hands, the life-form Silent Flame, which he had always treated as a treasure, wasn't qualified to be listed on the rare item list. However, what did a rare item like the geocentric jade milk have to do with him? When Lin Yuan saw Mystic Moon's troubled expression, he frowned slightly. "Uncle Mystic, I think you have something on your mind. Is there something that you need me to do?" When Mystic Moon heard the Moon Empress' sudden interruption, he knew that the Moon Empress was reminding him. Otherwise, what was there to see about the few spirit siphon goldfish in the lotus pond? Those butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish might have reached suzerain and awakened their hidden bloodline. The fish's wings and tails were like butterfly wings, and they were like butterflies fluttering in the water. However, such things weren't worth the Moon Empress dragging Lin Yuan to admire. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's question, Mystic Moon's knitted brows didn't relax. He just shook his head with a bitter smile. "Young Lord, the Moon Empress is waiting for you to admire the fish. Don't let her wait for too long." When Lin Yuan and Mystic Moon arrived at the inner palace, Lin Yuan found his master, the Moon Empress, sitting at the table. She was smiling gently at him, just like how she usually did when she saw him. Just as Lin Yuan was about to walk to the Moon Empress' side, he suddenly realized that the Moon Empress' carrot-loving, miserly rabbit had a listless look. Lin Yuan immediately thought of the longevity rat. Originally, Lin Yuan was going to give the longevity rat to the Moon Empress before he left. Since his master's little rabbit was so listless, Why not give the longevity rat to the Moon Empress now? It would also allow the longevity rat to play with the miserly rabbit. Therefore, after Lin Yuan arrived at the Moon Empress' side, he took out the bronze Fey storage box that contained the longevity rat. Master, can you see if you can form a contract with this Fey? I think this Fey is quite suitable for Master. When the Moon Empress heard Lin Yuan's words, she was slightly startled. She had been thinking of ways to prepare Feys for Lin Yuan, but she was afraid that Lin Yuan wouldn't accept them. Now, Lin Yuan was taking the initiative to give her a Fey. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1238. Looking at the diamond Fey storage box that Lin Yuan handed to her, the Moon Empress, who knew her fate, could not help but feel a little dazed. As a current expert, apart from his first Fey when he was young, it was that old fellow who found him. The other Feys were nurtured by the Moon Empress herself through fortuitous encounters and contracts. After that old fellow, the Moon Empress didn't remember anyone else taking the initiative to look for a Fey for her. It was time for him to enter the contract. However, it seemed that when that old fellow had given him his first Fey, he had been the same as Lin Yuan now. He handed over a bronze Fey storage box. At that time, when he had just become a spirit chi professional, he was especially interested and curious about all Feys. Now that he only had 3 years of lifespan left, how could he contract a Fey? If he were to contract another Fey, wouldn't his new contracted little fellow be like him and only be able to live for 3 years? When Mystic Moon heard Lin Yuan's words, even though she had a lot on her mind, she didn't say anything. He was also stunned by Lin Yuan's words. In this world, apart from Lin Yuan, anyone who said such words to the Moon Empress would be disrespectful to her. Even if other eminences were to recommend Feys to the Moon Empress and let her contract them, it would be considered overstepping their authority. However, Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress' only disciple, and if he were to say this, it would be the same as showing filial respect to his master. Upon seeing the smile on the Moon Empress' face, Mystic Moon instantly returned to his senses. As a Moon envoy who had accompanied the Moon Empress for over 50 years, Mystic Moon was very clear about how strong the Moon Empress' spiritual energy was. Even if the Moon Empress contracted many Feys, it was still more than enough for her to contract one more Fey. When thinking about the Moon Empress Fey lineup, Mystic Moon truly could not think of what kind of Fey the Moon Empress would need to contract. Lin Yuan had just said that the Fey in the Fey storage box was suitable for the Moon Empress. If the Moon Empress had more than 3 years of lifespan left, given how much she doted on Lin Yuan, she would form a contract with the Fey that Lin Yuan had given her. Then he quickly nurtured them. However, the Moon Empress, who only had 3 years of lifespan left, probably did not know what to do with her other Feys. Therefore, it was impossible for the Moon Empress to contract the Fey that Lin Yuan had given her. The young lord still didn't know that the Moon Empress only had 3 years of lifespan left. But what about 3 years later? Looking at the Moon Empress and Lin Yuan, Mystic Moon's eyes, which had never been red since she was born, couldn't help but turn red and sour. It was as if something was about to come out of his eyes. The Moon Empress was about to refuse when she saw the expectant expression on Lin Yuan's face. In the end, the Moon Empress didn't reject him. When the Moon Empress took the bronze Fey storage box from Lin Yuan, she felt a warmth in her heart that she had only felt after accepting Lin Yuan as a disciple. After receiving the bronze Fey storage box, the Moon Empress wanted to put it away. At that moment, the Moon Empress heard Lin Yuan speak again. "Master, I see that Zishi is a little listless. The little fellow in the bronze Fey storage box is about the same size as Zishi. It should be able to play with her." As he spoke, Lin Yuan prepared to rub Zishi, who was in the Moon Empress' arms. Previously, when Lin Yuan had arrived at the Radiant Moon Palace, he had secretly touched Zishi. Zishi was in a good mood because Lin Yuan was the Moon Empress' disciple and was considered one of them. Thus, Zishi did not express any clear objection to Lin Yuan's action of masturbating. He could just turn a blind eye to it. However, ever since Lin Yuan ate half of Zishi's carrot, if Lin Yuan wanted to touch Zishi again, Zishi would jump away from Lin Yuan's 10-meter radius. Occasionally, its ears would swing Lin Yuan's palm away. This made Lin Yuan a little confused. He didn't understand what was wrong with this stingy rabbit. Why did it suddenly become cold to him? Now that Lin Yuan saw Zi Shi's listless appearance, he felt that Zi Shi would not reject him touching her. In the end, when Lin Yuan stretched out his hand, Zi Shi jumped behind the Moon Empress. Then, she tilted her head and glared at Lin Yuan. What playmate? Playmate? I don't need a playmate. I feel bad because Siwei only has 3 years of lifespan left. Don't talk about finding a playmate for me. Even if you spit out the carrot you ate and return it to me, I will definitely not be happy. After hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Moon Empress didn't check what was in the bronze Fey storage box. Instead, she used her spiritual energy to summon the longevity rat out of the bronze Fey storage box. However, it was just a casual summon from the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress, Mystic Moon, and Zi Shi all had stunned expressions on their faces. As the longevity rat had been living in the Divine Wood Federation's forest all year round, it was very afraid of strangers. The longevity rat's hair stood on end when it suddenly appeared in an unfamiliar environment. Seeing Lin Yuan at the side, the longevity rat's eyes lit up. It scuttled to Lin Yuan's body and nestled its head in Lin Yuan's neck. However, Lin Yuan didn't care about the longevity rat that was shivering on his neck. Lin Yuan felt that something was wrong. If it was just the 2 silver stamen gold luster caches at the entrance of the Radiant Moon Palace, Lin Yuan wouldn't think so much. However, Mystic Moon's hesitation and Zi Shi's emotions proved that something big had happened in the Radiant Moon Palace. The emotions produced by both of them could only revolve around one person, and that was his master, the Moon Empress. Could it be that something had happened to his master? While Lin Yuan was thinking, the Moon Empress was the first to recover from her daze. She couldn't remember how many years it had been since she had been stunned. As a Class 5 creation master, the Moon Empress naturally saw through the longevity rat's ability, life end, at first glance. In the blink of an eye, this subconscious glance was too profound. From this glance, the Moon Empress saw the lingering tinder of rebirth in his helpless resignation. Now, the Moon Empress could finally stop accepting her fate. At that moment, it was as though the Moon Empress had returned to her past self from 10 years ago. At that moment, the Moon Empress' heart was throbbing with all sorts of emotions. These emotions filled the Moon Empress' heart, causing her body to tremble slightly. His emotions were like an overturned bottle of 5 flavors, and for a moment, it was hard to describe. Finally, the Moon Empress suppressed all her emotions at the bottom of her heart, leaving only a gentle smile for Lin Yuan. Just like when she knew that her fate was fixed, the Moon Empress tried her best to remain calm when she saw that her fate had changed. Ever since the Moon Empress had taken Lin Yuan in as her disciple, she had always treated him as a withered glory that could extend her life. She loved him more than her own eyeballs. The Moon Empress didn't say anything about her remaining 3 years of life. However, there was an unknown amount of unwillingness in her heart. Compared to the unwillingness to accept her death, the Moon Empress was even more unresigned that she couldn't see Lin Yuan rise to the top and look down on all the other mountains. Now, all the unwillingness had turned into hope. Her fate had changed because of Lin Yuan. Perhaps everything that happened in the unseen world was due to fate and karma in the midst of the wind and dew. Chapter 1239. If it was 10 years ago, someone would have told the Moon Empress that her life providence would change because of her disciple. The Moon Empress would definitely let him experience what it meant to be a chain of moonlight and a hook of silver chains. That was because it was complete nonsense to the Moon Empress back then. 10 years ago, the Moon Empress had never thought that she would accept a disciple one day. The Moon Empress had decided to accept him as a disciple last year. In the end, the Moon Empress set the selection conditions, and the Redbud City Lord, Ling Xiao, immediately selected a suitable candidate. In fact, let alone 10 years ago, even before Lin Yuan's arrival, the Black Dragon clan had been in the Black Dragon clan for a long time. Someone told the Moon Empress that her disciple could change her fate, but the Moon Empress didn't believe it. This was not the first time Lin Yuan had been surprised by the Moon Empress. For example, the Golden Lotus Brocade plant's high density and pure spirit chi were things that even a Class 5 creation master like the Moon Empress would have a hard time figuring out. When the Moon Empress obtained the golden lotus brocade, she determined that the golden lotus brocade and the flower brocade pearls should be of the same origin. After receiving the high concentration of pure spirit qi from Lin Yuan, the Moon Empress had used it to induce the flower brocade pearl. In the end, the flower brocade pearl's reaction was mediocre and showed no signs of transforming into a golden lotus. The Moon Empress knew that the appearance of the golden lotus brocade truss had nothing to do with the high concentration of pure spirit qi. The flower brocade pearl must have undergone some special mutation. The appearance of the high concentration of pure spirit qi and the golden lotus brocade truss proved that certain creation masters were superior to other creation masters. His disciple Lin Yuan had already silently walked in front of him. The Moon Empress didn't investigate how Lin Yuan had done it. She only felt proud and happy for him. However, even if Lin Yuan had such achievements as a creation master, the Moon Empress did not think that he could change his life providence. However, the longevity rat that Lin Yuan took out had truly shocked the Moon Empress. This kind of shock was on a completely different level compared to the golden lotus brocade plant and the high density of spirit qi. There were all sorts of life evolutions and mutations, and even some Class 4 creation masters had mutated into extremely valuable phase. In addition, if the Moon Empress creation master standard improved, the spirit qi's purity would also increase. It could be said that the golden lotus brocade plant and the high concentration of spirit qi were both within the realm of human strength. However, the lifespan rat was a spirit creature that could directly extend one's lifespan. According to the Moon Empress knowledge, such a spirit item that could increase one's lifespan shouldn't exist in this world. A contract with a small longevity mouse would basically fulfill the lifelong wish of many powerhouses. Longevity. With the help of the cicadas, the Moon Empress had already seen through some of the secrets of the path to heaven. 5 years later, the Moon Empress would have the opportunity to charge for the path of ascension. After contracting the lifespan rat, the Moon Empress was not limited to 3 years of lifespan. As the lifespan rat devoured spirit materials rich in vitality, its lifespan would be extended indefinitely. At that time, when he broke through to the next realm, he wouldn't have to worry about his lifespan anymore. After looking at the longevity rat on Lin Yuan's neck for a moment, the Moon Empress shifted her gaze to Lin Yuan. At that moment, all of the Moon Empress emotions melted into her smile at Lin Yuan. At this moment, the Moon Empress felt very blissful. The longevity rat's appearance could allow it to forever block in front of Lin Yuan and protect him on his journey on the wind. The second person to recover from the shock was Xian Yu. After recovering from the shock, Xian Yu's mouth twitched and quickly said to the Moon Empress and Lin Yuan, "Moon Empress, young lord, I will go to the kitchen to take a look." After speaking without waiting for the Moon Empress to nod, Xian Yu turned and walked out of the inner palace. Lin Yuan was still pondering about the problem, but Xian Yu's voice interrupted his thoughts. From the start of Xian Yu's words, Lin Yuan had keenly captured the trembling in Xian Yu's voice. The last few words even had a bit of a whimper. Could Xian Yu be crying? However, Lin Yuan immediately shook his head. What Lin Yuan didn't know was that Xian Yu, who had just walked out of the inner palace's door, already had hot silver tears in her eyes. Xian Yu didn't blink, and the silver tears didn't fall from her eyes. The moment the silver tears flowed out, they were evaporated by Xian Yu's spiritual power. When Xian Yu heard about the Moon Empress situation from the cicadas, she felt as though the sky had collapsed. In the 50 years of getting along, Xian Yu never thought that she would have to part with the Moon Empress in life and death. Back in the kitchen, Xian Yu's eyes were a little warm. When she saw the Moon Empress looking at Lin Yuan in the inner palace, Xian Yu's eyes started to turn red. However, Xian Yu endured it. When she saw the longevity rat, she found out that the Moon Empress was only left with 3 years of lifespan, and the predicament was resolved. Xian Yu couldn't help but cry tears of joy. As the tears were constantly evaporating, Xian Yu didn't know how many times she had to adjust her emotions. Soon enough, the surging emotions caused Xian Yu's clear and bright face to look a little exaggerated. Xian Yu's mouth was almost at her ears, revealing a mouthful of teeth. Silver patterns faintly appeared on her teeth, and they looked like they were about to turn into dragon teeth. At that moment, Xian Yu's emotions were so overwhelming that she couldn't control herself. Her tearful expression made Xian Yu, who had an outstanding appearance, look a little ugly. However, the grief of knowing that the Moon Empress only had 3 years of lifespan couldn't be erased in a short period of time. Therefore, Xian Yu's expression lasted until she walked to the kitchen before she recovered. After her expression recovered, Xian Yu was already able to control the joy in her heart. She looked at the stew of island whale brain oil, jade peck blood swallow's nest, and other ingredients in the kitchen. Xian Yu carefully and seriously cooked them. Previously, when Xian Yu was handling these ingredients, her heart was in pain, and she resisted cooking from the bottom of her heart. Xian Yu knew that the cooking of these ingredients was to allow Lin Yuan to better absorb the geocentric jade milk. But now, Xian Yu was very happy and even grateful while cooking. Looking at the dishes being cooked, Xian Yu chuckled and opened up her chest. Immediately after, Xian Yu's body was like colored glass, and a drop of silver blood with a hint of gold condensed on her chest. Xian Yu placed this drop of blood into the stew of island whale brain oil. Island whale brain oil was extremely nourishing and protective towards the soul. Island whale brain oil was a dish that Lin Yuan had to eat if he wanted to absorb the geocentric jade milk. The Moon Empress didn't like to eat fish, and the island whale brain oil had the smell of aquatic phase. Therefore, when the Moon Empress was eating, she wouldn't touch the island whale brain oil. If the Moon Empress found out that Lin Yuan had added the condensed essence blood from the dragon heart into the dishes, she would definitely blame Lin Yuan. The higher the bloodline of a dragon species Fei, the harder it was to condense essence blood. A gold dragon species Fei could easily condense 200 to 300 drops of essence blood. However, when a dragon species Fei evolved into a myth breed, it was already not bad to condense a dozen drops of essence blood. At Xian Yu's level, she could only condense 3 drops of essence blood at most. Chapter 1240. The loss of dragon species Fei's essence blood was extremely damaging to the body. But at the same time, the essence blood of dragon species Fei's was the best enhancer for spiritual ingredients. It could greatly enhance the island whale brain oil's protection effect on the soul. Mystic Moon was a spirit soul dual-type dragon species Fei, so its essence blood had the effect of protecting the spirit and soul. Dragon species Feis had always cherished their essence blood, just like how a mother cherished her child. Mystic Moon's behavior was Mystic Moon using its own method to thank Lin Yuan. Previously, Mystic Moon had always felt that the Radiant Moon Palace was shielding Lin Yuan from the wind and rain. Now, it was better to say that Lin Yuan had reconstructed the Radiant Moon Palace. At that moment, Lin Yuan, who was in the Radiant Moon Palace, was dumbfounded as he looked at Zixi, who had just ignored him. Lin Yuan really couldn't figure out what this stingy rabbit was up to. She didn't even let him touch her earlier, but now, she was using her 2 long ears to hold his palm. She took the initiative to put his palm on her body. What was going on? Was she inviting him to masturbate her? Thus, Lin Yuan tentatively touched Zixi's body. Lin Yuan was really afraid that Zixi was fishing, so he reached out to touch her. The ears slapped the back of his hand. When Lin Yuan was done, he realized that Zixi had kicked her legs and was lying flat on the table. She took the initiative to reveal the soft belly hair. The Moon Empress couldn't stand it anymore and hugged Zixi. Zixi could transform into a human form. Compared to a human form, Zixi felt more comfortable in her beast form and could eat carrots more conveniently. Thus, Zixi would never transform into a human form when not in combat. However, it was undeniable that Zixi was a female rabbit. The Moon Empress couldn't bear to see Zixi lying flat. Lin Yuan originally had something to ask the Moon Empress, but just as he was about to ask, Lin Yuan realized that the Moon Empress' temperament had changed. The Moon Empress' eyes were clearly a little more than when he had just entered. Looking at his master's temperament, there was now 30% arrogance and 70% hope. Lin Yuan felt that he didn't need to ask. Thus, Lin Yuan hugged the longevity rat on his neck and changed the topic. Master, this longevity rat has a small drawback. If Master wants to form a contract, you must not expose the longevity rat to people who don't trust it. Upon hearing his words, the Moon Empress flipped her hand. A fruit rich in vital aura appeared in the Moon Empress' hand. During this time, Lin Yuan had only fed the longevity rat soldiers rations. The army grain radish leaf contained the energy to sustain life, but its vitality was pitifully little. Because of this, the lifespan of the longevity rats was not as fast as that of the longevity rats. The lifespan of a fae like the longevity rat was only 1 year. According to the fae's instincts, the longevity rat would frantically search for spiritual ingredients rich in vitality energy in order to survive. To the longevity mouse, the fruit that the Moon Empress had taken out was the most life-force treasure that the longevity mouse had ever seen. However, due to the longevity rat's cautious nature, it didn't immediately charge forward. The longevity rat squeaked on Lin Yuan's palm while moving in small steps. It seemed to be saying, "I really want to eat that fruit. Can you please bring it over to me?" Sob, sob, sob. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan smiled and said to the longevity rat, "When you become master spirit creature, you'll have as many of these spirit materials as you want." After saying that, Lin Yuan touched the longevity rat's orange fur and continued speaking. "Little guy, hurry up and go over." The lifespan rat stared at the young man who saved it in the forest and helped it evolve. The longevity rat gently raised its small paw and shook it at Lin Yuan. It then squeaked a few times at Lin Yuan, but no one knew what it was saying. Then, the longevity element rat scuttled into the Moon Empress' palm. The Moon Empress immediately used her spiritual energy to contract the longevity rat. Then, he handed the myth breed blue life jade pear in his hand to the lifespan rat. The longevity element rat immediately grabbed the blue life jade pear's fruit and ate it. After the lifespan mouse ate the blue life jade pear, its lifespan slowly increased. The blue life jade pear increased the longevity mouse's lifespan from 1 year to 2.5 years. In other words, a myth breed blue life jade pear could allow the longevity rat to live for over 500 days. This kind of consumption was undoubtedly huge for ordinary forces and experts. In fact, some factions might not even be able to earn a myth breed blue life jade pear in a year. However, such consumption was nothing to the Moon Empress with her resources. The increase in lifespan made the Moon Empress smile even more intensely. The Moon Empress flipped her hand again, and a basket filled with blue life jade pears was placed on the ground. When the longevity rat saw this, it wanted to dive into the basket full of blue life pears and eat them. The Moon Empress quickly grabbed the longevity rat out of the basket and said, "Little guy, you need to digest it before you can continue eating. Otherwise, if you eat another blue life jade pear, your stomach will burst. Otherwise, if you eat another blue life jade pear, your stomach will burst." The longevity rat shyly rubbed its small head against the Moon Empress' palm. After signing the pill contract with the Moon Empress, the longevity rat instinctively felt intimate with her. Looking at the longevity rat's bulging stomach, Lin Yuan smiled gently. When this little guy ate the soldier ration radish leaf stem, it was very gluttonous. It was unknown when it could change this gluttonous habit. Fortunately, as a rodent species fae, this little guy's metabolism was very fast. It was not a problem to eat 3 to 4 myth breed blue life jade pears a day. After the longevity rat had its fill, it looked at Zishi in the Moon Empress' arms and wanted to jump onto Zishi's body. If it was any other fae that wanted to touch it, Zishi would probably slap it away with one ear. However, Zishi did not do so for the longevity rat. One reason was that Zishi was afraid that her ear would kill the longevity rat that could only maintain at normal grade 1 normal grade. Secondly, the longevity rat was equivalent to the Moon Empress lifespan battery. Just now, Zishi was very worried about the Moon Empress lifespan of only 3 years. Now, it cherished the longevity rat very much. Zishi allowed the lifespan rat to jump around on her back and even used her ears to protect it. It was afraid that the longevity rat would slip off its back and fall to the ground. When Zishi was around, the Moon Empress' other faes, such as the sun-swallowing calamity fox, would not even dare to make a sound. When Zishi was around, the sun-swallowing calamity fox did not even dare to make a sound. Now, Zishi was protecting the longevity rat as though it was protecting a baby. In fact, it was not only Zishi. The Moon Empress' other fays that were not summoned also had an instinctive good impression of the longevity rat. The longevity rat, which was foolishly playing on Zishi's back, did not know that it had become the Moon Empress' contracted fae. In the fae world, this identity was probably comparable to Lin Yuan's identity in the Radiance Federation. Chapter 1241. The Moon Empress looked down at the longevity rat playing with Zishi for a moment before looking up at Lin Yuan. Little Yuan, have you heard of our Radiance's unique Desolation bloodline fae? Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of the time when everyone had a meal together in Zhong Zhe's residence in Copper Crane Alley. Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang had mentioned a desolate bloodline fae. When Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang mentioned the desolate bloodline fae, Long Tao, Zhong Zhe, and Sun Ningxiang looked at Gao Feng, Lu Jie, and themselves with envy. That was the first time Lin Yuan had heard of the term desolate bloodline. From Zhong Zhe's words, Lin Yuan knew that Zhong Zhe's main fae, the heaven-burning roar, possessed the desolate bloodline. Moreover, the heaven-burning Ho's desolate bloodline had yet to fully mature. Lin Yuan remembered that Zhong Zhe originally wanted to talk more about his burning sky ram. But then Zhong Zhe glanced at Gao Feng, Long Tao, and Sun Ningxiang and did not continue. Zhong Zhe's actions let Lin Yuan know that Zhong Zhe did not want Long Tao, Gao Feng, and Sun Ningxiang to understand more about the heaven-burning Ho or the desolation bloodline fae. However, Gao Feng and Zhong Zhe had no intention of hiding anything from him. But in the end, Zhong Zhe didn't mention the desolate bloodline again. When Zhong Zhe mentioned the desolate bloodline, Gu Lang spoke to Long Tao. If you work hard, you will also have a chance to obtain the bloodline of famine. From the information revealed by Zhong Zhe and Gu Lang, Lin Yuan only had a smattering of knowledge regarding the desolate bloodline. Lin Yuan shook his head at the Moon Empress. Master, I don't know much about the famine bloodline. I only know that Zhong Zhe's heaven-burning Ho has the famine bloodline. The Moon Empress replied. I originally planned to tell you about the desolation bloodline before you participate in the Radiance Envoy selection at the age of 20. Today, I happened to obtain a drop of geocentric immortal milk. With this drop of geocentric jade milk, Little Yuan, you can form a contract with a desolate bloodline fae now. Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan knew that fays with the desolation bloodline had an age requirement. Treasures like the geocentric immortal milk could cleanse the body of impurities and once again optimize the genes. Tempering one's body, soul, and mental strength would allow one's life to be reborn. It also meant that the spirit chi professional's body, mind, and soul had extremely high requirements for the spirit chi professional's body, mind, and soul. It was just like how the soul of a person under the age of 18 was not enough to form a sacred source life form. However, according to the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan still did not know what was going on with the desolation bloodline fae. However, in the previous duel with Zhong Zhe in the civil and martial duels, he had deeply witnessed the heaven-burning roar's power. It could be said that the reincarnated flame beast and Zhong Zhe's sacred source life form, the heaven's blazing flame, could display such power. It had an indispensable relationship with the heaven-burning Ho. If not for the burning sky Ho's amplification of the fire elemental energy and the use of the exclusive skill, Fire Fantasy Town, he wouldn't have been able to summon the burning sky Ho. Zhong Zhe's overall strength would be weakened by at least 20%. At the same time, as a Diamond X/Fantasy V Fae, the sky-burning centipede had 8 high-grade exceptional flames in its body, which truly shocked Lin Yuan. After the fusion of 8 high-grade mysterious flames, its might could already reach the standard of a peak-grade mysterious flame. The power of a top-notch heavenly flame was far beyond the control of ordinary fantasy breed fays. At that time, Lin Yuan had been secretly shocked by the sky-burning centipede's talent and bloodline. In terms of the fae's individual strength and function, Zhong Zhe's sky-burning centipede definitely surpassed any of Lin Yuan's existing fays. Lin Yuan's fays had always evolved in the most optimal way. Now, Lin Yuan finally understood that it was because Zhong Zhe's sky-burning centipede had the desolation bloodline. Just as Lin Yuan was about to ask the Moon Empress how to obtain the desolation bloodline fae, the Moon Empress spoke first. Little Yuan, in another month, the Azure Federation's envoys will arrive at our Radiance Federation to observe the Radiance 100 sequence selection. At that time, the fourth Azure Envoy will be coming along. The fourth Azure Envoy is from the Azure Cloud Leopard family, one of the 12 Azure families. The Azure Cloud Leopard bloodline is the Azure Federation's unique Azure bloodline. Our Radiance Federation's corresponding Desolation bloodline is our Radiance Federation's unique Desolation bloodline. Zhongzhe's sky-burning centipede is the same as Master Zishi. They both have the Desolation bloodline. In the Radiance Federation, there is only one way for the older generation to obtain phase with the Desolation bloodline. That is to become the Radiance Federation's Majesty. As for the younger generation, it is easier to obtain phase with the Desolation bloodline than the older generation. There are a total of 3 ways. The first is to become the Majesty's disciple before the age of 30. The second is to become a Radiance Envoy. The third is to become a member of the Radiant Light Knights. The Moon Empress words made Lin Yuan dumbfounded. Previously, Lin Yuan only had a concept of phase with the Desolation bloodline. Now, Lin Yuan deeply understood the value of phase with the Desolation bloodline. Based on Yin Lin's memories, Lin Yuan knew what the 12 Azure families meant to the Azure Federation. The Azure family's weight in the Azure Federation was completely different from the top faction's status in the Radiance Federation. It was the 3 top factions Rhine Life Form, Whale Ocean Trade, and Brahma Insect Cage added together. They could not compare to any of the Azure family's status in the Azure Federation. There was no majesty in the Azure Federation's Azure Imperial Court. The family head of each of the 12 Azure families was actually equivalent to the Radiance Federation's majesty. In the Azure Parliament organized by the Azure Imperial Court, they had a seat with a lot of authority. All of this was because the members of the Azure family possessed the Azure Beast pattern and could perfectly contract phase with the Azure bloodline. This showed how powerful the Azure bloodline phase were. Similarly, phase with the Desolation bloodline could be compared to phase with the Azure bloodline. This meant that phase with the Desolation bloodline would definitely be comparable to phase with the Azure bloodline in terms of combat power. Furthermore, according to the conditions for obtaining phase with the Desolation bloodline, there might be more types of phase with the Desolation bloodline than phase with the Azure bloodline. However, there were definitely fewer phase with the Azure bloodline than with the Azure bloodline. This was because every Spirit Chi professional in the Azure family who awakened the Azure Beast pattern would immediately obtain an Azure bloodline Fae on the same day they awakened the Azure Beast pattern. According to the Moon Empress, it seemed that he would be able to obtain a Fae with the Desolation bloodline after consuming the geocentric jade milk. Lin Yuan immediately looked forward to it. However, while he was looking forward to it, Lin Yuan suddenly worried about his spiritual energy. Phase with the Desolation bloodline were so powerful and simply weren't suitable for Morbius Spirit Lock. If he were to use Spirit Lock on phase with the Desolation bloodline, it would truly be a waste of resources. End of this chapter. Chapter 1242. However, if contracting a Fae with the Desolate bloodline required a massive amount of spiritual energy, most of his spiritual energy had been consumed during the contract with Morbius. The rest could only form a contract with a normal Fae. If he wanted to form a contract with a Desolate bloodline Fae, the spiritual energy requirement would be higher than ordinary Faes. In that case, it was very likely that he would not be able to form a contract. Lin Yuan asked the Moon Empress, "Master, are there any conditions for contracting a Desolate bloodline Fae? I don't have much mental power left." The Moon Empress knew of Black's identity and naturally knew that Lin Yuan had contracted many Faes. The Moon Empress was not surprised that Lin Yuan did not have much spiritual energy left. In the Moon Empress' opinion, for Lin Yuan to be able to contract so many Faes at this age, he had already left his peers far behind. The Moon Empress looked at Lin Yuan's somewhat worried expression and explained very seriously. A person can only form a contract with a Desolate bloodline Fae in their lifetime. Unlike Sacred Source life forms, some people with stronger souls can form 2 contracts. A Fae with the Desolate bloodline will be completely bound to a person after the contract. When a Fae with the Desolate bloodline grows, a certain amount of bloodline power will be fed back to the contractor. It allows the contractor to possess a certain amount of the desolate bloodline, thereby greatly increasing the contractor's physical strength. Little Yuan, you don't have to worry. Forming a contract with a desolate bloodline Fae will consume some of your spiritual energy. But it doesn't consume much of my mental strength. The key is still my physique and soul strength. Dinner might be painful for you, but you have to eat as much as you can. This will allow you to better absorb the energy within the geocentric immortal milk when you take it, and also make you feel more relaxed. As the Moon Empress and Lin Yuan were conversing, Mystic Moon had already brought the spirit attendants to the inner palace to serve the dishes. At this moment, Jin Qi was holding the jade-pecking blood swallow's bird's nest. The fragrance of the blood-pecking jade swallow's nest wafted into Jin Qi's nose, making her blood boil. Jin Qi didn't dare to imagine eating the jade-pecking blood swallow's nest if it had such an effect just by smelling it. To what extent would the blood qi in his body grow? Jin Qi had previously thought of seducing Lin Yuan to raise her status in the Radiant Moon Palace. However, when Jin Qi saw Lin Yuan pondering beside the Moon Empress, she understood that she could only look up to this youth who was younger than her. Thinking of this, Jin Qi could not help but feel envious of Wen Yu again. At the same time, Jin Qi felt that Wen Yu was extremely stupid. As the saying went, the pavilion closest to the water enjoys moonlight first. Wen Yu stayed by Lin Yuan's side all day long. However, she had never been able to obtain Lin Yuan. If Lin Yuan had chosen him back then, he might still be pregnant and being served by other spirit attendants. Of course, Jin Qi only dared to think about these things in her heart. If she revealed it, Jin Qi was afraid that she would be directly sent to the Pond of Sin by the mysterious moon envoy. Under the weeping willow tree, he endured the punishment while reflecting on his mistakes. Lin Yuan also saw the spirit attendants bringing in the dishes. While looking, Lin Yuan subconsciously used Morbius true data. Lin Yuan's jaw dropped when he saw it. This is too exaggerated. Lin Yuan had always felt that his spirit lock spatial zone would produce heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls every minute, and he was already very wealthy. But now, he calculated all his wealth and could only barely afford one portion of island whale brain oil. While thinking about it, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that something was wrong. The island whale brain oil in the dishes was dark gold in color, and it was different from ordinary island whale brain oil. The island whale that produced this island whale brain oil should be at least 600 years old. Of course, this was just a conservative estimate. Otherwise, the island whale brain oil would not be of such quality. At the thought of this, Lin Yuan swallowed his saliva. It seemed like his wealth could not even afford this portion of island whale brain oil. Lin Yuan suddenly had a thought that he was very poor. In fact, there were plenty of spiritual ingredients in the dishes that Lin Yuan could not find out with true data. This meant that some of the spiritual ingredients came from undying Faes. Lin Yuan, who was never frugal when it came to food, sighed in his heart more than once. Too extravagant. But when it was time to eat, Lin Yuan realized that extravagance did not mean enjoyment. This meal was truly torturous for Lin Yuan. The Moon Empress scooped a bowl of jade-pecking blood swallow's nest for Lin Yuan. When Lin Yuan drank it, he tasted a natural and sweet taste. The soft gelatinous texture slid from the tip of his tongue into his esophagus. This feeling was like kissing the softest lips. Of course, Lin Yuan had never felt such a feeling before. However, after the second mouthful, Lin Yuan was no longer in the mood to savor the taste and texture of the jade-pecking blood swallow's nest. Lin Yuan felt that his body had become a giant furnace. His blood was boiling and clamoring, making Lin Yuan feel that his blood flow was at least 3 times faster. As his blood flowed rapidly, Lin Yuan's heartbeat was like the beating of a war drum. At the same time, Lin Yuan's forehead rapidly seeped out a large amount of sweat. Upon seeing the situation, the Moon Empress said with some heartache, "Little Yuan, how about this? Little Yuan, how about this? After you finish eating this bowl of bird's nest, immediately swallow the entire portion of island whale brain oil. Then, try your best to eat other dishes and eat as much as you can. The more you eat, the better it will be for you. You must bring out your willpower at this time." Upon hearing the Moon Empress words, Lin Yuan took a deep breath and drank the jade pecking blood swallow's nest as quickly as possible. Then he hugged the golden-threaded jade basin that contained the island whale brain oil and quickly finished it. Due to Lin Yuan eating too quickly, the food's decomposition speed in his stomach could not keep up with his eating speed. When Lin Yuan was almost done with the island whale brain oil, the jade-pecking blood swallow's nest's power was completely unleashed. The fast-flowing blood caused Lin Yuan's blood vessels to bulge out of the surface of his body. The rapid flow of blood gave Lin Yuan an indescribable sense of excitement in his heart. This also greatly sped up Lin Yuan's eating speed. When Lin Yuan finished drinking the island whale brain oil and picked up the other dishes, he felt as though his soul was suddenly stuffed into a sea. The surging feeling caused Lin Yuan's body to constantly tremble. At this moment, Lin Yuan felt that he really could not persevere anymore. At that moment, Lin Yuan recalled Morbius' Calm Mind. Calm Mind was a passive skill. However, when activated actively, Calm Mind's effects would increase. Lin Yuan repeatedly used Calm Mind on himself and forcefully endured the discomfort as he swept through the other dishes on the table. While Lin Yuan was stuffing himself with food, the Moon Empress' gaze landed on Mystic Moon when Lin Yuan picked up the island whale brain oil. Mystic Moon looked at the Moon Empress and shrunk his neck. "Moon Empress, I'm doing this for the young lord's own good." End of chapter. Chapter 1243. The Moon Empress sighed and replied, "When little Yuan finishes consuming the geocentric jade milk, I'll ask him if there's any more pure spiritual qi." The feeling of being suppressed by the cicadas and rendered immobile must be very uncomfortable. With the pure spirit qi, your bloodline should be able to improve further, Xianyue. Now that your bloodline has been upgraded, you will definitely be able to cross that hurdle. After speaking to Mystic Moon, the Moon Empress realized that Lin Yuan had eaten the last dish on the table. The Moon Empress was secretly shocked by Lin Yuan's willpower. Seeing that Lin Yuan was about to finish the last dish, the Moon Empress said to Mystic Moon, "Xianyu, now is the time. Take out the geocentric jade milk for little Yuan to consume." If not for the lifespan rat, Mystic Moon would have hesitated when he heard the Moon Empress command. But right now, Mystic Moon was extremely willing to let Lin Yuan consume the geocentric jade milk. After Lin Yuan swallowed the last mouthful, Mystic Moon's hand, which was holding the blazing yellow wooden box, trembled. A seemingly ordinary milky white liquid flew into Lin Yuan's mouth. The moment he took a sip of the milky white liquid, he felt that the restlessness in his body was completely suppressed. If it wasn't for the fact that this drop of milky white liquid was very sticky in his mouth, he wouldn't have swallowed it completely. Lin Yuan was probably already complaining. The geocentric jade milk was actually so disgusting. There was a hint of saltiness in the fishy smell, and a hint of bitter apricot. Just as Lin Yuan swallowed the geocentric jade milk with great difficulty and lamented that he finally didn't have to experience his blood boiling and his soul swelling, Lin Yuan finally experienced what true pain was. The first time he had used the diamond silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar to cleanse his body of impurities, he had experienced the agony of being dismembered. After consuming the suzerain silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar, his soul experienced the pain of being crushed and squeezed. At that time, Lin Yuan had thought that the pain in his body and soul was already the limit of pain in the world. Compared to the pain he was suffering now, the pain from consuming the diamond and suzerain silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar was child's play. Lin Yuan felt that if he cut a hole in his body would immediately burst like a balloon. Fast-flowing blood would splatter out of the wound. At that moment, the blood in Lin Yuan's body drilled out of his blood vessels due to the overbearing medicinal power rising from his stomach. The pain of the blood forcefully drilling into his body made him feel as though he had become a big mulberry. At the center of the mulberry was a nest of eggs that had just hatched. During the incubation process, the eggs were eating away at the mulberry from the inside out. Previously, when he had consumed the suzerain silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar, the physical pain could even slow down his soul. A sluggish soul would weaken his perception of pain. Right now, under the effects of the island whale brain oil and some unknown spirit materials, His soul had already entered a hyperactive state. This state greatly increased his perception of physical pain. Moreover, the tyrannical medicinal power of the geocentric jade milk not only affected the body, but also the soul. This medicinal power was beneficial to his soul. Lin Yuan's soul could rely on this potion to strengthen itself. However, the medicinal potency was simply too massive. While absorbing it, his soul was almost shattered by the impact of the medicinal potency. Moreover, Lin Yuan's two souls were also affected. This caused Lin Yuan to suffer double the pain on the soul level compared to others. Lin Yuan could not bear either of the two kinds of pain, but they were mixed together. It allowed Lin Yuan's physical and soul pain to reach an ingenious balance. Even if Lin Yuan wanted to faint, Elder 100 could not do it. At that moment, every second was magnified tens of thousands of times in Lin Yuan's eyes. The activity of Lin Yuan's soul allowed him to clearly feel every trace of change in his body. Lin Yuan tried to use Morbius' calm mind on himself again. However, the two kinds of pain made Lin Yuan unable to make any instructions to his body. Lin Yuan could only check the situation in his body, but the Moon Empress and Mystic Moon could clearly see the changes on the surface of his body. Lin Yuan was now completely covered in blood. Due to the medicinal power of the jade-pecking blood swallow's nest, blood was constantly being produced. The blood that was constantly gushing out formed a thick layer of scab on the surface of Lin Yuan's body, completely sealing him in the scab. It made Lin Yuan look like a cocoon waiting to metamorphose. Upon seeing Lin Yuan's appearance, the Moon Empress clenched her fists tightly with a distressed expression on her face. It was the same for Mystic Moon. However, when she saw the Moon Empress expression, Mystic Moon quickly consoled her. Moon Empress, even if His Highness does not consume those spiritual ingredients to assist in absorbing the geocentric jade milk, there will not be any problem for him to endure the geocentric jade milk's medicinal effect. Moreover, His Highness has already consumed all of those spiritual ingredients. Don't worry, His Highness will not have any problem. When the Moon Empress heard Mystic Moon's words, her brows knitted even tighter. How could the Moon Empress not know that consuming the geocentric jade milk would only bring benefits to Lin Yuan? However, knowing was one thing. As a master, when she saw her disciples suffering such pain, she would still feel terrible. Right now, Lin Yuan was going through a process of gene optimization and being reborn. This process was something that the Moon Empress could not help even if she wanted to. If she recklessly used some methods to reduce Lin Yuan's pain, it might cause Lin Yuan's metamorphosis to be interrupted. It would be the same as personally cutting off Lin Yuan's fortuitous opportunity. However, when the Moon Empress recalled that Lin Yuan had eaten the entire table of dishes, her brows relaxed. After calculating the time, the ingredients of the dishes should have been completely stimulated by the geocentric jade milk's medicinal effect and had been digested and absorbed by Lin Yuan's body. At this moment, Lin Yuan was already numb from the intense pain in his soul and body. The numb Lin Yuan suddenly felt that his stomach was starting to rapidly spread the energy ingredients to all parts of his body. These energy ingredients might be increasing the pain that Lin Yuan was enduring, but at this moment, every energy ingredient was like a divine weapon descending from the heavens. They were protecting Lin Yuan's body and soul, which were on the verge of shattering due to the geocentric jade milk's energy. At the same time, these energy ingredients were also accelerating Lin Yuan's digestion and absorption of the geocentric jade milk. During the digestion and absorption process, these energies were also absorbed into Lin Yuan's body. Lin Yuan could only helplessly endure it. A few short minutes in the outside world made Lin Yuan's soul world feel as though a few centuries had passed. During this process, Lin Yuan broke down thousands of times. He sank into depravity thousands of times. He comforted himself thousands of times. He found hope thousands of times. Finally, Lin Yuan had slowly gotten used to this intense pain in his soul and body. Chapter 1244. At that moment, Lin Yuan would no longer break down. He would only feel happy about the changes in his body. To look forward to a better future. Amidst the torturous pain, Lin Yuan's mental state had unknowingly undergone a qualitative leap. As the saying goes, Young people's worries should be taken to the clouds, who would think of the cold sitting and crying. However, Lin Yuan's ambition was already above the sky, and it was very difficult for anything to change it. Unless Lin Yuan had to endure more pain than this. Suddenly, a wisp of spiritual qi brewed in Lin Yuan's heart. Previously, when he had used spirit qi to enhance genius and the longevity rat, they had shed their fur time and time again. The current Lin Yuan was not much different from genius and the longevity rat. However, Lin Yuan did not change his hair but all the cells in his body. As Lin Yuan's cells were constantly being born and dying, his body was being reconstructed over and over again. He could no longer remember how many times his body had been reshaped. Marrow, bones, blood, muscles, nerves, nails, hair. Every part of Lin Yuan's body was being remolded, experiencing the creator's meticulous carving. After Lin Yuan's body reassembled for the last time and no longer changed, Lin Yuan's eyes widened. A wave of spiritual and pure aura that belonged to living beings seeped out of the cocoon formed by the blood scabs and floated in the radiant moon palace. The dozens of lotus fays in the radiant moon palace's lotus pond kept swaying their petals and spitting out multicolored mist. The butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish whose bloodline had transformed also extended its butterfly wing-like fins and tail as it leaped out of the water. It was as if there was something outside the lotus pond that was attracting the butterfly tail spirit siphon goldfish. At that moment, Lin Yuan, who was inside the blood scab, had completely transformed. Just as he was about to use his hand to break the scab, he keenly realized that his clothes had become unrecognizable due to the transformation just now. Thus, he quickly took out a set of black spirit qi clothes and changed into them. After changing into the spirit qi clothes, Lin Yuan checked himself again. When he didn't find anything abnormal, he broke off the scab and walked out. Mystic Moon and Moon Empress had seen countless proud sons of heaven. But now that they saw Lin Yuan again, they couldn't help but be amazed. Although Lin Yuan's current appearance didn't look any different from before, it was different from before. However, her facial features had become even more refined than before. The changes in his facial features had improved Lin Yuan's original appearance by a huge margin. It had reached the standard of more than 90 points. When a person's appearance was above 90 points, it could be regarded as the pinnacle of attractiveness. If many top-notch beauties were to be compared, the results of each person's evaluation would be very different. After all, to each his or her own taste. However, Lin Yuan had never relied on his appearance but his temperament. Lin Yuan's aura had improved his looks from over 80 points to over 90 points, which was enough to show how outstanding his aura was. Now that Lin Yuan's temperament had brought along his 90-plus points of appearance, it gave Lin Yuan an indescribable sense of nobility. During these 8 months, Lin Yuan had constantly increased his knowledge and strength. Not only did the resources in his hands grow larger and larger, but he also established his own forces. These experiences, coupled with the affluence of food and clothing, and the change in his social status, gave Lin Yuan a kind of noble aura. However, Lin Yuan's current noble aura was different from this noble aura that relied on status, wealth, and experience. Lin Yuan's noble aura was not conspicuous, but it could not be ignored. It was just like how an apostle was a grade higher than a dimensional life form. At the same time, Lin Yuan's figure and bone form had also undergone certain changes during the metamorphosis. Previously, Lin Yuan had grown from 1.78 meters to 1.79 meters, and he had been looking forward to growing to 1.80 meters. Now, Lin Yuan's dream had been realized. Lin Yuan's current height had reached 1.82 meters. Lin Yuan was very clear about his growth. The clothes that Wen Yu had designed for Lin Yuan perfectly matched his current figure and size. Lin Yuan's current height was 1.82 meters, and he had only grown over 2 centimeters taller. The black spirit qi clothes that Lin Yuan was wearing were obviously a little tight and did not fit him as well. Due to a person's different lifestyle and eating habits, their bone form would change little by little over time. For example, if a person sat for a long time, their back would naturally arch. If a person lay down and slept, the back of their head would become flatter and flatter. If a person always used his teeth to bite hard objects, then this person would as his masseter muscle increased in size at the same time. The structure of the mandible will also become more robust. All of these might not seem obvious, but they could subtly change a person's appearance and temperament. After Lin Yuan's bone form had been reborn, it had been set at the most optimal position in his genetic model. Even if Lin Yuan's acquired habits were bad, his body could automatically restore his bone form after the metamorphosis. Lin Yuan was about to greet his master, the Moon Empress and Mystic Moon. At that moment, Lin Yuan's stomach growled. When he heard his stomach growling, he subconsciously covered it with his hand. However, Lin Yuan's stomach kept grumbling. At the same time, he instinctively felt an extreme hunger. It was as though all the cells in his body were begging him to eat quickly. He hurriedly took out a soldier grain radish's vine and prepared to eat its leaves. The Moon Empress said, "Little Yuan, don't eat the soldier rations yet. Right now, your body cells are urging you to absorb nutrients, which means that the nutrients in the dishes you just ate aren't enough. If you consume some high-grade ingredients at this time, you can also borrow the geocentric jade milk's east wind to let your body absorb some of the nutritional energy in the high-grade ingredients." Just as the Moon Empress finished speaking, Mystic Moon forcefully suppressed the shock in his heart and replied, "I'll go to the kitchen to prepare now and try to serve the dishes to His Highness within half an hour." After that, Xian Yu walked quickly towards the kitchen. At the same time, he had the spirit servants waiting outside the rear hall come in and clean up the table. Mystic Moon, who had gone to the kitchen to prepare the ingredients, couldn't understand how Lin Yuan's body could absorb so much nutrients and energy. When the Moon Empress was preparing the ingredients, she had already prepared a lot more. Furthermore, a drop of his own blood essence was added into the mix. After thinking for a long time, Xian Yu still had no clue. However, based on the changes in Lin Yuan's body just now, Mystic Moon felt that there was really nothing more that could be strengthened. The reason why his body would enter a state of hunger should be that his soul still needed to replenish nutrients. Thus, Xian Yu took out another portion of island whale brain oil, as well as some island whale brain oil of similar levels. The ingredients that could nourish the soul were carefully cooked. Chapter 1245. Lin Yuan, who was sitting beside the Moon Empress, had his stomach growling nonstop until he was a little embarrassed. Upon seeing this, the Moon Empress wanted to find a way to distract him. Otherwise, his body would be in a constant state of hunger, which was tantamount to torture. This feeling was 10 times stronger than normal hunger. The Moon Empress flipped her hand, and a golden egg appeared in her hand. The Moon Empress asked Lin Yuan in a very serious tone, "Little Yuan, I showed you a book called Mountain Sea Catalog before. Have you finished the book now?" Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan hurriedly nodded. "I've already finished reading the Mountain Sea Catalog that Master told me to read." Lin Yuan had always had the habit of reading. Therefore, he only took 2 to 3 days to flip through the books that the Moon Empress had asked him to read. However, Lin Yuan could not make head or tail of this Mountain Sea Catalog. He did not know why his master, the Moon Empress, had made him read such mythological books before the Spirit Chi awakening for no reason. The Mountain Sea Catalog was similar to the classic of mountains and seas that he had read in his previous life. However, the Mountain Sea Catalog was much more realistic than the Mountain Sea Scripture. Of course, no matter how realistic these books were, they were still too unbelievable. Lin Yuan answered the Moon Empress' question while looking at the pure golden egg in her hand. The eggshell of this egg was engraved with the pattern of a storm, and the pattern of the storm was rotating and rising on the eggshell. It was as if the eggshell was the eye of the storm. The patterns of the storm gave the eggshell a feeling of alternating light and dark. It was as if there was a ferocious bird riding the storm and hiding in the abyss of the storm, staring at the man. In addition, the golden egg exuded an aura similar to Zhongzai's burning sky roar. Presumably, this golden eggshell was breeding a spiritual creature with the bloodline of famine. The desolation bloodline Fei in this golden eggshell was very likely the one that the Moon Empress had prepared for him. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's answer, the Moon Empress didn't keep him in suspense and replied with a smile. There's an article in the Mountain and Sea catalog that says that there's a bird called golden wing that doesn't eat anything other than the lungs of a dragon and doesn't drink anything other than the blood of a phoenix. Do you still have any impression of this introduction about the golden wing? Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan looked at the golden eggshell and swallowed his saliva before nodding. Of course I remember. Master, could the desolate bloodline fey in this golden egg be the golden wing? When he had been reading the Mountain Sea catalog, he had flipped through a few pages before reaching the golden wing. Lin Yuan had a deep impression of the golden wing's introduction. This was because he did not treat the Mountain Sea catalog as a real knowledge book and treated it as supernatural literature. Therefore, Lin Yuan's thoughts were not serious. Lin Yuan's first impression of the golden-winged bird was that it was picky. Only the lungs of a dragon, only the blood of a phoenix would be drunk. The golden-winged bird was probably daydreaming. Among fays, as long as they had a trace of the dragon-type or phoenix-type bloodline, their price would be far higher than ordinary fays. Those fays that had awakened the dragon-type and phoenix-type bloodlines might not be able to be bought even if one had the money. These fays that had awakened a trace of dragon species and phoenix species bloodlines were not real dragons and phoenixes. Lin Yuan suspected that the golden-winged bird recorded in the Mountain Sea catalog had starved to death because it was picky. However, this golden egg told Lin Yuan that the fays in the Mountain Sea catalog were real. These fays should be the Radiance Federation's unique desolate bloodline fays. This made Lin Yuan's impression of the golden-winged bird that would not eat anything other than the lungs of a dragon or the blood of a phoenix. How powerful would it be if it became a golden-winged bird that ate dragon's lungs and drank phoenix's blood? Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the Moon Empress nodded. The desolate bloodline fey in this golden egg is the golden wing. The Mountain Sea catalog's record of the desolate bloodline fey is also basically true. Little Yuan, although you've consumed the geocentric jade milk, causing both your soul and body to transform, you might still have to suffer if you want to contract the golden wing. Back then, when Master contracted Zishi, he suffered a lot. The desolate bloodline fays are unruly, and it is much harder to contract a desolate bloodline fey than a marrow contract with a sacred source life form. Later, when you contract the golden wing, the sacred source life form that you previously contracted will be of some assistance. You have to remember, during the contract process, you must firmly suppress the golden wing's will. Otherwise, after the contract, the master-slave relationship will likely be swapped. But little Yuan, don't be fooled by how difficult it is to contract a desolate bloodline fey. Once the desolate bloodline fey is contracted, the desolate bloodline fey will be like your other fays. They will be good companions that accompany you for life. While speaking, the Moon Empress handed the golden wing's egg to Lin Yuan. In a short while, Mystic Moon commanded the spirit attendants to serve another table of dishes. After eating the dishes again, Lin Yuan no longer felt as unbearable as before. Soon, Lin Yuan realized that as the soul in his mind, which had not contracted a sacred source life form, absorbed enough nutrients and energy, his body's hunger disappeared. His body's transformation was finally complete. Because the desolate bloodline fey had to compete with the desolate bloodline fey's will, it could not be disturbed. Therefore, Lin Yuan went to his breeding room after the meal and closed the door. According to the Moon Empress instructions, he sliced open his palm. He used his blood and soul power to wrap the golden wing's eggshell at the same time. The moment Lin Yuan's blood and soul power were sucked into the golden eggshell covered with storm patterns, Lin Yuan felt that he suddenly appeared in the eye of the hurricane. In the eye of the hurricane, Lin Yuan felt the violent aura that filled his body and prepared to release his will. Suddenly, Lin Yuan felt that a boundless beast was awakening in the wind. Moreover, this awakened boundless beast was staring at him in the chaotic and violent wind. Lin Yuan's expression did not change in the slightest. Lin Yuan had clearly been in the Radiant Moon Palace's breeding room. However, after using his blood and soul power to wrap the eggshell, he had appeared here. It was very likely that his soul had entered the golden eggshell. What he saw was the scene inside the golden eggshell. Lin Yuan remembered that his master, the Moon Empress, had said that he wanted to contract the golden wing. He was destined to have a battle of wills with the Golden Wing. Since it was a battle of wills, it did not matter if he took the initiative to attack. In any case, the Golden Wing's will would eventually collide with his. Therefore, Lin Yuan only needed to stick to his heart. However, he recalled that his master, the Moon Empress, had said that even if he consumed the geocentric jade milk, he would still suffer. Lin Yuan's heart subconsciously tightened. Previously, whether it was using the silver stamen gold luster cassia nectar to wash away the impurities in his body or using the geocentric jade milk to change his body, even his master, the Moon Empress, had not said anything to remind him. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1246. Since it had reminded him this time, it was very likely that he would suffer from contracting the Golden Wing. It would far exceed the suffering he had suffered when he had taken the geocentric jade milk to be reborn. Before waiting for the Golden Wing's will to find him, Lin Yuan had already released his will. He let his will fill the surrounding environment. Lin Yuan was currently in the world inside the golden eggshell. Lin Yuan's figure inside the golden eggshell was a product of his soul manifestation. As Lin Yuan continued to release his will into the surrounding environment, behind Lin Yuan's body formed by his soul, a shadow formed by his will appeared. This will shadow was Lin Yuan's appearance, but it was thousands of times larger than the body formed by Lin Yuan's soul. Lin Yuan's will was strong to begin with. When he had just taken the geocentric jade milk, Lin Yuan's will had been strengthened to the extreme. At that moment, the huge figure formed by Lin Yuan's will felt like it was about to break through the storm. Lin Yuan sensed the shadow formed by his will behind him. However, Lin Yuan did not notice that the wrist of the shadow formed by his will was also wrapped around a copper ring formed by his will. At that moment, a cry that could cut through metal and stone sounded in the storm. After this cry, the wind and clouds surged around the eye of the storm. Lin Yuan looked up and saw a giant bird that could cover the sky staring at him with cold and sharp eyes. This giant bird that covered the sky had a strong and elegant body, and its golden wings were engraved with wind patterns. The slight flap of each feather could form a violent tornado. Thousands of violent tornadoes shuttled back and forth in the giant golden bird's wingspan, sweeping up everything that could be touched. The giant bird's eyes were heroic and sharp, and its dark golden pupils were alienated and contemptuous of everything. The slender and sharp claws under its abdomen seemed to be able to easily grab a dragon's heart with its claws. Its sharp beak could easily tear off a phoenix's neck and suck the blood hidden in the phoenix's neck. What kind of majestic giant bird was this? Lin Yuan felt that it was a little hard to describe. If Lin Yuan's previous body formed by his will was already a huge creature, then Lin Yuan's will was standing in front of this giant golden-winged bird. At that moment, Lin Yuan's will stood in front of this giant golden-winged bird like a baby standing in front of an adult. With this gap, Lin Yuan immediately knew just how powerful Golden Wing's will was with the desolate bloodline. Lin Yuan recalled that his master, the Moon Empress, had said that sacred source life forms could help him in this battle of wills. Thus, Lin Yuan called out to the princess. Immediately after, an even larger phantom appeared behind the phantom formed by Lin Yuan's will. This figure was a woman with a dress fluttering in the wind. Her eyes were tightly shut, and her hands were crossed over her chest in a defensive posture. When the golden-winged will saw the princess's figure, which was almost half the size of its body, behind Lin Yuan, it felt as if it had been provoked. It immediately let out an even more intense cry. Lin Yuan could clearly feel that the golden wing's will was crushing toward him under this cry. Lin Yuan had thought that he would have to fight a tough battle where he would lose more than he would win. At that moment, the bronze bracelet on Lin Yuan's illusory wrist shone brightly. The copper ring separated from Lin Yuan's wrist and collided with the golden-winged figure that could cover the entire world. It felt like a speck of dust was about to land on an eagle's body. However, it was this inconspicuous copper ring that kept growing when it collided with the golden wing's huge body. In the end, the enlarged copper ring tightly wrapped around the golden wing's neck. The golden wings will seem to be imprisoned by the copper ring. Under the restraint of the copper ring, it was difficult for the golden-winged will to be released. At the same time, Lin Yuan could clearly feel the golden wing's instinctive fear of the copper ring on its neck. It was as if the golden winged, which had the desolate bloodline, and the copper ring were not on the same level. Lin Yuan had also felt the same feeling from the Princess Royal. Lin Yuan could not be more familiar with the copper ring on the golden wing's neck. This copper ring was Morbius. Lin Yuan was very surprised by this. As a contractor, Lin Yuan was very clear about Morbius's state. Morbius was currently in a deep slumber. Could it be that this scene was an instinctive reaction of Morbius during its slumber? In addition, Lin Yuan had guessed more than once what level of Fey Morbius was at. Morbius' strength had now reached the Silver X/Fantasy I level. Even with such strength, Morbius was still unable to see its species clearly, just like at the beginning. Moreover, Morbius's type was mystic. Apart from Morbius, Lin Yuan had never found any phase or source-type lifeforms that were also mystic. Lin Yuan had originally thought that he and the Golden Winged Will would have an intense collision. However, it seemed that the Golden Winged Will was completely controlled by Morbius. There was no room for struggle. Lin Yuan took this opportunity to inject his will into the Golden Winged body to suppress it. As a result, Lin Yuan found that with Morbius's help, he easily suppressed the Golden Winged Will. After Lin Yuan suppressed the Golden Wing's willpower, the chaotic gale around him instantly turned into a gentle breeze. At the same time, the dissipation of the eye of the storm caused the time formed by the wind to distort and shatter. Lin Yuan also felt a sense of weightlessness. By the time Lin Yuan came back to his senses, he had already appeared in the breeding room again. Fine cracks appeared on the golden eggshell in his hand at that moment. Upon hearing the clacking sounds coming from inside the eggshell, Lin Yuan saw a small bird's beak penetrate the eggshell. Finally, a golden-winged bird about the same size as Chimey emerged from the eggshell. Upon seeing the wet feathers on the golden-winged bird, Lin Yuan hurriedly took out a square towel from the amber button-shaped diamond face storage box and covered the golden-winged bird. The golden-winged bird could not even stand steadily in Lin Yuan's hand, but it was the same as Zhong Zai's burning sky roar. It had the unique aura of a desolate bloodline Fey. In addition to the introduction of the golden-winged bird's diet, the Mountain Sea catalog also had other records of the golden-winged bird. The golden-winged bird spreads its wings, its abdomen covers the sky, its claws are like a ravine, and it cuts off rivers and peaks. From this, it could be seen that the golden-winged bird was an abnormally large desolate bloodline Fey. Its attack method mainly relied on its powerful physical body. However, the Mountain Sea catalog's introduction of the golden-winged bird's meaning was refining the wings as a nascent soul, and its body is connected to time. Lin Yuan really did not understand. In Lin Yuan's interpretation, it seemed to say that the golden-winged bird could obtain the ability to control time when it went through some kind of change. However, what exactly did the ability to control time refer to? Lin Yuan thought about it for a long time but did not have any clues. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1247. Lin Yuan was not a very stubborn person. He could not get an accurate answer just by thinking about it, so he simply did not spend any effort on it. Anyway, as he continued to nurture the newly hatched golden wing, it would always give him an answer. Lin Yuan estimated that after nurturing the little fellow in his hand for a period of time with dragon liver and phoenix blood, its size would quickly increase. In the end, it was very likely to reach a level that could even cover the sky like what he had seen in the golden eggshell. However, Lin Yuan had a headache at the thought of using dragon liver and phoenix blood to nurture this little fellow. Where was he going to get so much dragon liver and phoenix blood? The dragon liver and phoenix blood that he needed were not a one-time deal. As the golden wing grew, it would only consume more and more dragon liver and phoenix blood in the future. Lin Yuan had to think deeply about this problem. This was a difficult problem that he had to urgently solve. If he did not solve this problem, his golden wing could not grow. When the Mountain Sea catalog recorded the golden wing's diet, it recorded its pickiness. It also recorded the golden wing's extremely high requirements for food. Those who eat dragon liver and drink phoenix blood are all picky and good. Otherwise, there will be no wind in the chaotic feathers. This sentence could be interpreted as when the golden wing ate dragon liver and drank phoenix blood. The dragon liver and phoenix blood had to be fresh. At the same time, the dragon liver and phoenix blood had to reach a certain level. Otherwise, the golden wing's feathers would lose their luster, and the wind patterns in the feathers would disappear. This was enough to show how picky and difficult it was to raise the golden wing. According to the level and freshness of the dragon liver and phoenix blood, it would affect the golden wing's health. Lin Yuan roughly speculated that the higher the level of dragon liver and phoenix blood the golden wing consumed, the stronger it would grow. However, Lin Yuan could not judge the level of dragon liver and phoenix blood. However, Chimey definitely did not meet the requirements. First of all, the Luan phoenix species was only a branch of the main phoenix species. Non-pure Luan phoenix blood might not guarantee the golden wing's health even if it drank it. Moreover, Chimey had used the soundbird's bloodline to devour the Luan phoenix's bloodline. As a result, there was pitifully little Luan phoenix blood in Chimey's blood. Chimey did not meet the requirements, but Little Black was a pure worm-dragon fae. It could be considered a fact that it was promoted to a main dragon species. Although Little Black's dragon liver should be enough to meet the golden wing's requirements, neither Little Black nor Chimey could provide liver or blood for it. After pondering for a long time, Lin Yuan's eyes suddenly lit up. In order to obtain phoenix blood, one didn't necessarily have to kill a phoenix fae. One could also use other methods to obtain phoenix blood. There were many main phoenix species faes in the Dawn Cloudbird niche. A peak faction's resources were limited. If they wanted to expand their market, they would have to make concessions in other aspects. The main phoenix species fae's bloodline might be noble, but its growth would be accompanied by far more resource consumption than ordinary faes. As a pinnacle faction that was rapidly expanding into the market, Li Yun Bird niche did not have enough resources to supply the faction's main phoenix-type fae. He felt that he could provide resources to the Li Yun Avian niche's main phoenix species fae. He wanted those main phoenix species faes to willingly trade their blood with him. Under normal circumstances, none of the main phoenix species faes would be willing to let out their blood. However, as long as they used resources that were far more valuable than the phoenix blood, they would be willing to exchange for it. Furthermore, such resources could allow the main phoenix fae to obtain sufficient benefits. Lin Yuan felt that there should be no problem with his relationship with Li Yun Avian, Can and Li Xian's matchmaking. That way, it could ensure that the golden wings drank the fresh phoenix blood from the source. However, the phoenix blood could be resolved, but Lin Yuan could not ask Long Tao about the dragon liver. There were plenty of dragon species faes in the Coiling Dragon Valley, so it was very easy for Lin Yuan to obtain dragon blood from Long Tao. It was also not a problem to obtain dragon species fae's essence blood. After all, both could be regenerated. However, the dragon liver was a dragon species fae's main organ that could not be regenerated. Taking out the dragon liver was the same as killing the dragon species fae. Therefore, it was far more difficult to obtain the dragon liver than the phoenix blood. However, the most convenient way to obtain the dragon liver was to look for Long Tao and see if he had any methods. Even if Long Tao did not have any methods, it was also good for Lin Yuan to trade for some dragon species faes that were easy to enhance the bloodline from the Coiling Dragon Valley. Lin Yuan's 100 Questions Beast army would only grow stronger in the future, and he had plenty of Creation Master resources. Even if Lin Yuan used Creation Master resources to nurture a high-grade dragon species fae, it was not impossible for him to take the liver to nurture the golden wings. As for the golden wings eating the dragon liver and drinking the phoenix blood, they needed to absorb wind elemental energy and spirit chi. Lin Yuan did not need to worry at all. There was plenty of pure spirit chi in the spirit lock spatial zone. Although the dimensional rift did not produce spiritual ingredients like variant wind, the wind elemental heavenly maiden-grade elemental pearls were enough to solve the problem of the golden wings needing to consume wind elemental energy. Lin Yuan looked at the little golden wings in his hand, which he did not know how many resources it would consume in the future. Lin Yuan could not help but sigh in his heart. What kind of life do I have? After contracting the source-type life form, Red Thorn, it was hard to raise it. After contracting the sacred source life form, Queen, it was hard to raise it. Now that it had contracted the golden wings with the bloodline of desolation, it was even harder to raise it. Without the spirit lock spatial zone, Lin Yuan was afraid that his own phase, source-type life forms, and sacred source life forms would completely collapse. At that moment, the little golden wings' fledgling feathers in Lin Yuan's hand were already dry. The little golden wings burrowed out of the square scarf and looked at Lin Yuan curiously. Lin Yuan had used his soul, blood, and a certain amount of spiritual energy to form a contract with the golden wings. Therefore, the golden wings and the queen could learn and grow according to the knowledge in Lin Yuan's soul. Just as Lin Yuan was about to greet the golden wings, he heard the golden wings speak first. Lin Yuan, give me a name. I will do my best to protect you in the future. After saying that, the golden wings even flapped its wings twice as though it was showing off its strength to Lin Yuan. However, just as the golden wings flapped its wings, before it could fly, it immediately noticed Morbius on Lin Yuan's wrist. When it noticed Morbius, it quickly covered its eyes with its wings. It looked as though it had a lingering fear. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan almost burst out laughing. The golden wing's current appearance was no different from a newly hatched little yellow chick. The two flaps of its wings just now were like a chicken pecking at rice. It was so stupid. Lin Yuan held back his laughter, afraid that he would hurt the golden wing's pride. Lin Yuan, who could sense the golden wing's fear through his spiritual energy, quickly used his other hand to hold the golden wings. He used his fingertips to gently stroke the golden wing's soft young feathers and spoke softly as though he was coaxing a child. Don't be afraid, golden wings. Morbius will also be your partner in the future. As for the golden wings asking Lin Yuan to help name it, Lin Yuan said that he was the best at naming things. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1248. Lin Yuan said as he recalled the golden wings that covered the sky in the eggshell world. I'll call you Twinkle from now on. In fact, Lin Yuan wanted to call it golden-winged golden shimmering. But it was not convenient to say the word golden, so it was more convenient to say Twinkle. The princess, who was working hard to digest the world crystal in the depths of Lin Yuan's soul, revealed a satisfied expression when she heard the name Lin Yuan had given golden-winged. The princess felt that compared to Shan Shan, her name, Pill, sounded better. God knew how unbalanced the princess had been when he had named the sea burial lotus as Silver Splendor and the golden lotus brocade as Brocade Say. Fortunately, he was finally back to normal. Under Lin Yuan's continuous caresses, the little gold wing finally dared to close its wings and reveal its eyes. After comforting the little golden wing, Lin Yuan used Morbius' true data. He curiously and expectantly checked the desolate bloodline Fey, golden wing's attributes. He didn't know if this little thing's growth required such a huge amount of resources, and whether its skills could match up to the huge amount of resources it consumed. Fey name, Gold Wing Spirit Species. Desolate/Terrapodity, Fey Grade. Normal, 1/10. Fey Type. Wind, Fey Quality. Normal skills Frowny Face Neck Snapping Hell. When the sharp claws hit the target, it will trigger the neck snapping effect, breaking the target's neck. At the same time, it will grab the target's soul from the neck bone and absorb the soul into the feather, giving the wind patterns on the feather intelligence. Looking at the golden-winged Fey species, Lin Yuan suddenly thought of when he had checked on Zhong Zhe's Burning Sky Centipede. Zhong Zhe's sky-burning centipede spirit species belonged to the Desolate Tooth Beast family. At that time, it was the first time Lin Yuan had seen a desolate Fey. From the looks of it, Feys with the Desolation bloodline should also belong to the Desolation species in true data. In the future, apart from the aura of desolation emitted by the bloodline of Desolation Feys, Lin Yuan would not be able to use it. It could also use the Fey species to determine if it was a Fey with the Desolate bloodline. According to the Mountain Sea Catalog's introduction, Lin Yuan knew that the Golden Wing was a desolate bloodline Fey that relied on its physical body to fight. It could be said that Golden Wing's normal skill, Broken Neck, was very compatible with Golden Wing's style. The neck snap effect could greatly increase the lethality of the Golden Wing. It could even be said that the Golden Wing had the ability to kill its target in one hit. Absorbing the target's soul into the feather and giving the wind patterns on the feather sentience made him think of the thousands of tornadoes swirling between the sky-covering golden wings feathers in the golden eggshell. If the wind patterns on every feather of the golden wing had intelligence, the tornado produced by the wind patterns was equivalent to an extension of the golden-winged golden wings body. It could be said that while the normal skill-breaking neck and sinking nether took into account the golden wings' physical damage, it also strengthened the golden wings' elemental damage. After checking the golden-winged true data, he brought the golden-winged true data to the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan realized that genius was not in the spirit lock spatial zone. It should have gone to the swamp world to plant the soldier grain radishes through the Klein hub. At that moment, Chimey wasn't live streaming. It was in the nest of the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree, working hard to absorb the energy in the exceptional flame. Upon seeing that Lin Yuan had arrived in the spirit lock spatial zone, Chimey immediately flew over while chirping. At that moment, Flash, who was being held in Lin Yuan's hand, suddenly froze. Twinkle stared at Chimey without blinking. It looked like a silly boy who had fallen in love with a beautiful lady at the alley entrance at first sight. When Chimey landed on Lin Yuan's ear and was behaving happily with him, Lin Yuan, who was chatting with Chimey, had already relied on his spiritual energy to keenly discover Flash's state. For a moment, Lin Yuan did not know what to say about Flash's state. As early as when Flash hatched, Lin Yuan had discovered that it was a male bird. This Flash was indeed a fae with the bloodline of desolation. It had just been born, and it already had puppy love. However, under normal circumstances, puppy love often did not have any good results. Lin Yuan had come to the Spirit Lock spatial zone this time to pick a batch of spirit rosewood peonies for his master, the Moon Empress. Lin Yuan did not care whether Flash would have a good result from falling in love with Chimey at first sight. Lin Yuan asked Chimey to take care of Flash while he took 3 spirit chi crystals in one go. He then crushed the 3 spirit chi crystals together for the spirit rosewood peonies to absorb. Previously, he had used 1 spirit chi crystal to let 10 spirit rosewood peonies absorb spirit chi. This time, he had crushed 3 spirit chi crystals together, allowing Lin Yuan to harvest 40 spirit rosewood peonies that were full of spirit chi. Of course, such a large output was inseparable from the spirit rosewood peonies that had been absorbing the pure spirit chi in the spirit lock spatial zone during this period. After uprooting these 40 spirit rosewood peonies and putting them into the platinum phase storage box, Lin Yuan left the spirit lock spatial zone in a flash. As soon as he left the breeding room, he found his master, the Moon Empress, and Mystic Moon waiting for him at the entrance. Upon seeing the Moon Empress' concerned eyes, Lin Yuan smiled and said, "Master, the gold wing is my fae now." Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the smile on the Moon Empress' face deepened. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's words, the smile on the Moon Empress' face deepened. "Little Yuan, do you have a clue about nurturing the gold wing's dragon liver and phoenix blood?" Upon hearing that, Lin Yuan told the Moon Empress his plans in full detail. When the Moon Empress heard Lin Yuan's words, the expression on her face became more and more astonished. After Lin Yuan finished speaking for a long time, the expression on the Moon Empress' face changed from astonishment to pride. From the moment Lin Yuan mentioned his plans for the dragon liver and phoenix blood, Mystic Moon knew that the dragon liver and phoenix blood that the Moon Empress had prepared for Lin Yuan in advance could not be given away. In addition, Lin Yuan's ability to use his connections to deal with things made Mystic Moon immediately understand why Lin Yuan could not get the Moon Empress help. He had developed Sky City so quickly in a short period of time. The Moon Empress pondered for a moment and put away the diamond phase storage box that she had been holding in her hand. Then, she threw a gold phase storage box to Lin Yuan and said, "Little Yuan, it's getting late. Little Yuan, it's already late. Why don't you stay in the Radiant Moon Palace for the night before returning tomorrow? This gold phase storage box has a few bottles of main phoenix species fae blood and a dragon species phase liver that is only 1 step away from advancing to a main dragon species bloodline. These 2 things can at least allow the gold wing to reach bronze. Gold, when devouring the phoenix blood and dragon liver, it's best to be accompanied by the absorption of pure spirit chi and wind elemental energy. Little Yuan, I didn't expect your nurturing standards for the gold wing to be so high. I'm looking forward to how strong your gold wing will be when it grows up. Lin Yuan looked at the gold Fei storage box that the Moon Empress handed over and decided to return to the breeding room in a while to raise the gold wing's grade. On the day he had met Qin Luan and Qin Yu, he had comprehended a willpower rune made of air currents. This willpower rune was like an indefinite wind and was very suitable for the gold wing. 166 Reading Network. Chapter 1249. If he could raise the golden wing's quality to legend, he could immediately evolve it into a fantasy breed. No spirit chi professional in this world would not look forward to their Feis becoming fantasy breeds. Lin Yuan was naturally no exception. Furthermore, his golden wing was not an ordinary Fei. It was a Fei with the bloodline of desolation. Lin Yuan, who was in a hurry to enter the breeding room to nurture the golden wing, took out the platinum Fei storage box that contained 40 nightmare spirit peonies and handed it to the Moon Empress. Master, apart from that longevity rat, the Feis in this Fei storage box are also for you. Upon seeing the platinum Fei storage box, the Moon Empress reached out to take it. It just so happened that she would ask Lin Yuan if he had any plans to have more pure spirit chi later. The Moon Empress might be willing to let Lin Yuan use precious spiritual ingredients. In a situation where fate could not be changed, the geocentric jade milk was useful to Lin Yuan, so he was even willing to give up the geocentric jade milk that could increase his lifespan by 1 year. However, the Moon Empress was too embarrassed to ask for something from her disciple. The main reason she wanted to ask if Lin Yuan had more pure spirit chi was because Mystic Moon had given a drop of her essence blood to Lin Yuan. Essence blood was the essence of dragon species Feis, and losing a drop of essence blood would be a great loss to Mystic Moon. The Moon Empress did not want Mystic Moon's potential to be affected because of this drop of essence blood. On the other hand, Mystic Moon had given Lin Yuan a drop of essence blood, which was equivalent to giving Lin Yuan a huge favor. It was true that Mystic Moon was the Moon Empress Moon Envoy, but the Moon Empress did not treat Mystic Moon as her servant. She had sufficient respect for Mystic Moon. This favor was something the Moon Empress owed Mystic Moon, and she had to return it. She was Lin Yuan's master, so it was reasonable for her to pay more. However, Mystic Moon was not Lin Yuan's master, and Lin Yuan did not know that Mystic Moon had given him the essence blood. Therefore, the Moon Empress wanted to use pure spirit chi, which she did not have, to help Lin Yuan return Mystic Moon's favor. After the Moon Empress checked the platinum Fei storage box that Lin Yuan handed over, she knew that she did not need Lin Yuan's pure spirit chi anymore. This was because Lin Yuan had prepared pure spirit chi for her, and he had prepared so much. At that moment, the Moon Empress' heart surged with emotions that she hadn't experienced for decades. Ever since the Moon Empress had become a Class 4 creation master, she had been experiencing a state of superiority that others didn't have. When the Moon Empress became a Class 5 creation master, there would be countless people begging the Moon Empress to enhance Feis, increase their quality, and heal their damaged roots. Such experiences had caused the Moon Empress to be used to being domineering and to using her creation master abilities to do things for others. The moment the Moon Empress saw the longevity rat, she knew that it had changed her destiny. She also knew that when Lin Yuan was facing the path of longevity, he had immediately thought of her. He didn't even know that he only had 3 years left to live. According to the Moon Empress understanding, if someone grasped the opportunity to live forever, they would be able to live forever. As long as this person wasn't stupid, he wouldn't hand this opportunity over to someone else. However, Lin Yuan had given the opportunity to live forever to him. As a creation master, he must have seen countless miracles of life metamorphosis in the process of enhancing Feis. Therefore, Lin Yuan definitely understood how precious life was. Was Lin Yuan a fool? The answer was definitely no. For Lin Yuan to have such strength at such a young age, he must be smarter than many people. Such a smart person who knew how precious life was willing to give the opportunity to the Moon Empress when facing longevity. Lin Yuan's feelings for her were self-evident. The Moon Empress had never thought of proving anything to Lin Yuan, but the longevity rat could be said to be the best proof that Lin Yuan could give to the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress didn't know how much pure spirit qi Lin Yuan had. However, in just a few days, Lin Yuan had provided her with 40 stalks of spirit qi. It was enough to prove that Lin Yuan had been diligently preparing for her. The pure spirit qi in the longevity rat and the spirit peony were things that the Moon Empress couldn't obtain with her own ability. Therefore, whether it was the longevity rat or the pure spirit qi in the nightmare spirit peony that he had given the Moon Empress, they could be considered gifts. After receiving so many gifts, the Moon Empress had a feeling that she could rely on someone for the first time. In any case, Lin Yuan's ability as a creation master was already ahead of her. However, the Moon Empress was sure that Lin Yuan wasn't a Class 5 creation master. The Moon Empress couldn't see any Class 5 creation master's unique Dao from Lin Yuan. In other words, Lin Yuan had used some special method to produce pure spirit qi. The Moon Empress was very curious about this, but she didn't have the intention to probe further. Ever since Lin Yuan had become her disciple, the Moon Empress had been teaching him to hide his trump cards. The last time Lin Yuan had given the Moon Empress pure spirit qi, she had thought of a problem. That was, what would happen if others discovered his uniqueness one day? At that time, Yu Ho, who only had 3 years left in her lifespan, could not find an answer. However, the Moon Empress already had the answer in her heart. Now that he had the lifespan rat, he would no longer have to face death because of his lifespan. He could always be Lin Yuan's protective talisman. With this thought, the Moon Empress' obsession to become stronger flourished. The Moon Empress sorted out her thoughts and said to Lin Yuan, "Little Yuan, I plan to enter seclusion until the early stages of the Radiance 100 sequence selection. I'll keep my phone with me when I'm free. If there's anything urgent, you can call me at any time." Upon hearing the Moon Empress' words, Lin Yuan replied with a smile, "I don't think I have anything urgent to disturb Master's seclusion. I'll come back to see Master after you come out." Lin Yuan accompanied the Moon Empress for half an hour before returning to the breeding room. Xian Yu, who was standing behind the Moon Empress, spoke softly to her. "Moon Empress, it's all thanks to young Lord this time." Upon hearing that, the Moon Empress' eyes, which had turned cold when Lin Yuan returned to the breeding room, revealed a smile again. But then the Moon Empress glanced at Mystic Moon and said, "That's right. Xian Yu, how dare you use something like essence blood so casually?" Mystic Moon had an embarrassed expression as he didn't expect the Moon Empress to settle the score with him after his young highness left. Just as Mystic Moon was racking his brains for a reply, the Moon Empress continued, "No matter what, I thank you on behalf of Xiao Yuan." After saying that, the Moon Empress tossed the platinum face storage box to Mystic Moon and said, "You're right. Lin Yuan gave this to me. I will use the pure spirit qi inside to concoct a spirit liquid to help you purify your bloodline." Mystic Moon might be a fae, but he was an out-and-out pinnacle class 4 creation master. He could see the concentration of spirit qi inside the dragon spirit peony. The pure spirit qi inside the dragon spirit peony immediately let Mystic Moon know that his opportunity had arrived. Chapter 1250. At that moment, the Moon Empress stood up and spoke unhurriedly. According to the Totem Moon's investigation, the sandstorms from all directions are rushing toward the Radiance Federation. Black Moon, once the news of the Azure Federation sending envoys to observe the Radiance 100 sequence selection is out, the Freedom Federation also has the intention of sending envoys out of the Radiance Federation and has already submitted an application to the Radiance Imperial Court. When Mystic Moon heard the Moon Empress' words, his expression immediately turned cold. After pondering for a moment, Mystic Moon asked the Moon Empress, "Moon Empress, now that your 3 years of lifespan has been resolved, what about the Imperial Court?" The Moon Empress looked at her hand for a long time before speaking. "Let's not talk about the Royal Court first. Since the sandstorms from all directions are sweeping across the Radiance, why don't we use the sandstorms from all directions to polish the crown on my head? It's fine if these people came to Huiyao with good intentions. If you have any bad intentions, then don't even think about leaving." When he returned to the breeding room, he hurriedly summoned Chimey and Golden Wing. When Lin Yuan had been drinking tea with the Moon Empress, He had heard Enin complain to him more than once. After Lin Yuan left, Chimey returned to its nest and absorbed the energy transmitted by the phoenix perching Chinese parasol tree. He was working hard to transform into a human form and hold a fan meeting. As for the golden-winged bird, it was like a brat that kept pestering Chimey, wanting to play with it. Chimey wasn't willing to play with golden-winged, so golden-winged kept causing trouble for it. The golden-winged bird had just hatched from the eggshell, although it had obtained knowledge from its own soul. But he didn't get any enlightenment on how to get along with others. As Goldwing's contractor, Lin Yuan gave Goldwing a good lesson in a very serious manner. Tell Golden Wing how a little man should behave in the world. After being taught a lesson by Lin Yuan, the Goldie immediately ran in front of Chimey in embarrassment and apologized. In Chimey's memory, Lin Yuan had never pulled it into a class seriously. In fact, Lin Yuan rarely spoke to her seriously. Therefore, Chimey had subconsciously used this reason to complain to him, causing him to be angry with Golden Wing. After receiving the golden-winged bird's apology, Chimey also apologized to it. His attitude toward the golden-winged Golden Wing began to become friendly. Of course, this was also thanks to Golden Wing's transformation. After all, it was really difficult for a brat to gain the favor of others. Lin Yuan nodded in satisfaction as he watched Golden Winged and Chimey getting along. After sending Chimey back to the Spirit Lock spatial zone to continue improving his strength, he took out the dragon liver and phoenix blood and placed them in front of the Golden Wing. The Golden Wing's eyes lit up when it saw Lin Yuan take out the dragon liver and phoenix blood. Lin Yuan, can I eat these things? Twinkle loves these things. Lin Yuan placed his hand on Golden Wing's back and said to him, that's right. Hurry up and eat. These are all prepared for you. After eating these, your strength will increase. While speaking, Lin Yuan tried to inject pure spirit qi into the Golden Wing's body. Soon, Lin Yuan realized that pure spirit qi was injected into the Golden Wing's body and quickly spread into the air. This meant that Golden Wing's current body did not need to absorb pure spiritual energy. While Lin Yuan was experimenting, the golden-winged bird had already started eating. The Golden Wing ate the dragon liver and phoenix blood bit by bit. Lin Yuan realized that the pure spirit qi he had injected into the Golden Wing's body could be absorbed by the Golden Wing's body as it digested and absorbed the dragon liver and phoenix blood. While the Golden Wing was eating, Lin Yuan did not forget to take out the wind element Heavenly Maiden grade elemental pearls. Lin Yuan crushed the elemental pearls into powder and placed them beside the dragon liver and phoenix blood. He let the Golden Wing decide whether it wanted to eat the powder. As the Golden Wing ate, Lin Yuan watched as the young feathers on its body hardened bit by bit. In the end, they turned into sharp and tough golden feathers. The Golden Wing's tender eyes gradually became sharp as its strength increased. As for the Golden Wing's body size, it was growing rapidly with every passing moment. Lin Yuan deliberately suppressed the Golden Wing's grade as its grade soared. He deliberately waited for the Golden Wing to reach Elite/Epic before breaking through to Bronze. 3 exclusive skills appeared for Lin Yuan to choose from after the Bronze Goldwing was promoted to Bronze. Dragon Phoenix Frightening Food. During the process of devouring the dragon liver and phoenix blood, it can swallow a large amount of dragon liver and phoenix blood into its body at one time, speeding up the digestion of the dragon liver and phoenix blood. It can also produce an aura that has a powerful deterrent force against dragons and phoenixes, increasing the lethality against dragons and phoenixes. The appearance of this first exclusive skill made Lin Yuan frown slightly. It was not that this first exclusive skill was bad. The first exclusive skill was equivalent to increasing the Golden Wing's evolution speed when the dragon liver and phoenix blood were sufficient. It also increased the Golden Wing's lethality against dragons and phoenixes. If Lin Yuan chose this exclusive skill, he could let the Golden Wing grow in a very short time. Although dragons and phoenixes occupied a large group among the experts' phase, they had limitations. Lin Yuan's creed in enhancing phase had always been to pursue the strongest direction for the phase and never pursue the speed at which the phase strength increased. It could be said that this exclusive skill was incompatible with Lin Yuan's horoscope. Lin Yuan checked the second exclusive skill. Mountain sea in the abdomen. Open up a small world in the abdomen. The world in the abdomen can contain inanimate objects, and living objects can only contain dragons and phoenixes. As the grade of the world in the abdomen increases, the area will become larger. When the stamina is exhausted, it can refine the life forms in the world in the abdomen to replenish the consumed energy. Lin Yuan simply did not know how to complain about this second exclusive skill. The second exclusive skill, Mountain Sea in the abdomen, had the same effect as Morbius Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. However, compared to the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone, it was at least worlds apart. If Lin Yuan were to define this exclusive skill, it could be roughly defined as a Fey storage box, a dragon and phoenix Fey breeding farm, and an energy storage vault. Lin Yuan had plenty of diamond Fey storage boxes. If he wanted to nurture dragons and phoenixes, wouldn't it be better to find a place to build a breeding base? In Lin Yuan's opinion, the only bright spot of the Mountain Sea in the abdomen was its energy storage. However, there were many ways to recover stamina, and he could rely on external help. He did not necessarily have to occupy an exclusive skill. The two exclusive skills that appeared for the Golden Wing were not in line with Lin Yuan's expectations. Lin Yuan continued to check the third exclusive skill. As a result, a smile immediately appeared on Lin Yuan's face when he saw the third exclusive skill. Unstable temperament. During the process of contact with the Fae, the exclusive skill and passive ability of the Fae can be stored. At that time, the exclusive skill Unstable Temperament will become the replaced exclusive skill and passive ability. The time limit for each replacement is 1 cycle of the Sun and Moon. It could be said that the exclusive skill Unstable Temperament allowed Lin Yuan to see the endless possibilities of the Golden Wing. Chapter 1251. The exclusive skill, Unstable Temperament, could allow the Gold Wing to constantly change its position to suit Lin Yuan's Fae. At the same time, Lin Yuan no longer had to covet a certain Fae's exclusive skill and passive skill. As a creation master, Lin Yuan had enhanced countless Faes. Naturally, he had seen many excellent exclusive skills and passive skills. Among all the Faes that Lin Yuan had personally enhanced, he still felt that this was the first Fae that he had nurtured for Chu Ci. The Obsidian Iron Wild Bull's exclusive skill and exclusive skill were the best. Lin Yuan coveted the Obsidian Iron Wild Bull's elite skill, Sacrifice, and Bronze exclusive skill, Annihilation Gaze. However, Lin Yuan coveted the Obsidian Iron Wild Bull's elite skill, Sacrifice. As a bloodline of Desolation Fae that relied on its physical ability to attack, the Gold Wing's body would definitely contain a huge amount of vitality after it grew up. It had an extremely strong damage resistance effect. If he could replace the Gold Wing's exclusive skill, Unstable Temperament, with the Obsidian Iron Wild Bull's passive skill, Sacrifice, Lin Yuan would be able to increase his defense ability again. He would have an additional powerful life-saving means. Spirit Chi professionals had always had 3 levels of life-saving means. The first level was to resist the damage outside of the body through the method of blocking. Defense-type Spirit Chi professionals' shield abilities were generally this way. Lin Yuan's defense with the Source Sand was also on the first level of defense. Although the first level of defense was the most common means when facing external attacks, it was undoubtedly the lowest among the 3. It was very difficult to completely resist the risk by relying on the first level of defense. When facing some accidents that could not be reacted in time, the first level of defense was often stretched thin. When facing some accidents that could not be reacted in time, the first level of defense was often stretched thin. When facing a sudden attack in the controlled water world dimensional rift, Lin Yuan did not have time to use the Source Sand to defend. If Lu Jie had not blocked in front of him, Lin Yuan would have been seriously injured. He might even have died. After contracting Princess and Genius and obtaining new abilities, Lin Yuan had obtained the second level of defense. The laws and willpower absorbed by Princess Skirt made Lin Yuan immune to many types of damage. While Genius Spiritual Expansion provided him with spiritual protection, it could also reflect the spiritual damage he received back at him. It could increase his own attribute resistance or use Fey abilities to obtain spiritual defense. These two defense methods belonged to the second level of defense. The second level of defense could instinctively resist the damage the moment it reached the spirit chi professional. Compared to the first layer of defense, the second layer of defense was undoubtedly much more effective. However, the second type of defense often had its limitations and could not be considered a life-saving method in the traditional sense. The Obsidian Iron Wild Bull's elite skill, Sacrifice, was powerful and valuable because it was the third tier of defense. The third level of defense would often provide spirit chi professionals with an additional life-saving method. If he let Goldwing's exclusive skill, Unpredictable Temperament, replicate the Obsidian Iron Wild Bull's elite ability, he could obtain a third life-saving method. At that time, the Golden Wing would be equivalent to Lin Yuan's Super Meat Shield. Unless the other party had the ability to kill the Golden Wing in one hit, he would not die no matter how strong the attack was. Furthermore, the Jasmine Lily's exclusive skill, Life Imprint, was not to be trifled with. He had not used the Jasmine Lily's exclusive skill, Life Imprint, for a long time. He could sense how much vitality was stored in the Vitality Imprint on his forehead. When encountering sudden danger, he often did not have the opportunity to open the Life Imprint. With the Golden Wing to share the damage, Lin Yuan would have the opportunity to unlock the Life Imprint. At that time, the massive vitality in the Life Imprint would continuously heal his injuries. At the same time, it would also pour vitality into the injured Golden Wing through the exclusive skill, Sacrifice. It could be said that the Golden Wing's exclusive skill, Unpredictable Temperament, formed a three-level closed loop for Lin Yuan's defense system. Lin Yuan did not need to spend any more effort on defense in the future. Now that he had obtained a new life-saving method, Lin Yuan felt much safer. In addition, the exclusive skill, Unpredictable Temperament, could replace the stored passive skill or exclusive skill once every sun and moon rotation. Each sun and moon rotation lasted 24 hours. The 24-hour cooldown period allowed Lin Yuan to modify the Golden Wing at any time. At certain specific times, Lin Yuan could exchange the Unpredictable Temperament's stored Sacrifice. He could allow the Golden Wing to store combat-type skills and exclusive skills. This way, the Golden Wing's combat strength would be significantly enhanced. Of course, the exclusive skill, Unpredictable Temperament, was also particular about the stored passive skills and exclusive skills. It could not store passive skills and exclusive skills at will. For example, Chaime's exclusive skill, Clear Golden Wings, could be replaced at will. However, for the Jasmine Lily's exclusive skill, Life Imprint, Black's exclusive skill, Spirit Chi Imprint, and Genius's exclusive skill, Connected Tail, if the Golden Wing were to be replaced, it would not have the desired effect. The powerful foundation of the Jasmine Lily and Black's exclusive skills was that one could constantly release vitality, while the other could constantly release Spirit Chi. The Golden Wing did not have the ability to release vitality and Spirit Chi. Even if it stored Life Imprint and Spirit Chi Imprint, it could not store vitality and Spirit Chi inside. As for Genius's exclusive skill, Connected Tail, it was based on the premise that Genius had a huge knowledge reserve. Without this powerful knowledge reserve, the Connected Tail's effect would be cut in half. It would only be left with the ability to communicate perfectly. In short, Lin Yuan liked the Golden Wing's exclusive skill, Unpredictable Temperament, which it had obtained after reaching bronze. At the start, when he had enhanced the Golden Wing, Lin Yuan had been standing beside it. Now that the Golden Wing had reached bronze, if he wanted to release pure Spirit Chi into its body, he could only stand on its back. At that moment, the bronze Golden Wing's wingspan had reached 20 meters, and it had become a true behemoth. From the Golden Wing, Lin Yuan could no longer see the cuteness it had when it was born. The Golden Wing's size was beyond Lin Yuan's understanding. He had never seen a bronze life form with such a huge body. Lin Yuan did not dare to imagine how shocking its body length would be as the Golden Wing's strength increased. In any case, Black was definitely not comparable to the Golden Wing. As the Golden Wing constantly ate the dragon liver, phoenix blood, and wind-type Heavenly Maiden-grade elemental pearl powder. After the Golden Wing reached bronze, its quality had also steadily increased to epic. Lin Yuan immediately ordered to suppress the golden wing's grade increase and let it focus on enhancing its quality. End of this chapter. Chapter 1252. When there was only a small piece of dragon liver and half a bottle of phoenix blood left, the golden wing's quality finally reached legend. Upon seeing this, Lin Yuan whispered to the golden wing. Golden wing, Master said that Fays with the Desolation bloodline only start to show their true power when they become fantasy breeds. Every Fae with the Desolation bloodline has the ability to master a certain power, just like the records in the Mountain Sea catalog. Golden wing, let me see how strong you will become after becoming a fantasy breed. After saying that, he summoned the willpower rune he had comprehended, which was composed of the airflow. This formless willpower rune seemed to have been born for the golden wings. Sensing the willpower rune that Lin Yuan had summoned, the golden wings stopped eating. With Lin Yuan's expectations, the golden wing firmly crashed into the willpower rune formed by the wind. After the golden wing crashed into the willpower rune formed by the wind, a gust of wind rose in the breeding room. The golden wing chirped and flapped its wings to fly up. The wind intertwined and clustered around the golden wing. At that moment, the golden wing felt a bit like the golden wing in the eggshell world to Lin Yuan. It seemed to have become the core of the wind at that moment. During the process of becoming a fantasy breed, the gold contained in the golden wing's feathers became denser and denser. The wind runes on the feathers became denser and denser. The brownish gold feathers on the golden wing's neck also suddenly turned golden at that moment. Lin Yuan raised his eyebrows in surprise. The golden wing's golden feathers were already different from the sky-covering golden wing that Lin Yuan had seen in the eggshell. The Mountain Sea catalog had never mentioned that the golden wing's brownish gold feathers would turn pure gold. Could it be because the pure spirit chi strengthened the golden wing's bloodline during the promotion process? While drinking tea just now, the Moon Empress had specially told Lin Yuan about the effect of pure spirit chi on Fays with the Desolation bloodline. Therefore, Lin Yuan increasingly felt that the change in the color of the golden wing's feathers was related to the pure spirit chi. During the process of becoming a fantasy breed, the golden wing's grade did not increase, but its body size increased again. Its original wingspan of 20 meters became 35 meters. Fortunately, his breeding room was big enough. Otherwise, a fantasy breed golden wing would definitely tear down the entire breeding room. Gradually, Lin Yuan realized that while the metallic luster in the golden wing's golden feathers became richer, there was also a bit of a crystalline feeling. The bird's eyes gradually darkened from their original bright gold color to a dark gold color. But in the dark golden eyes of the bird, there was a golden ring that was dozens of times brighter than the original golden color. The dark gold color in the center of the golden ring suddenly began to spin, as if a shocking storm was brewing. As the wind currents around the golden wing dissipated, it officially became a fantasy breed Fae. Lin Yuan immediately used Morbius True Data to investigate the golden wing. Fae name, Gold Wing Spirit Species, Desolate/Terrapodity, Fae Grade, Bronze, 2/10, Fae Type, Wind, Fae Quality, Fantasy Eye Skills Frowny Face Neck Snapping Hell. When the sharp claws attack the target, it will trigger the neck snapping effect, breaking the target's neck. At the same time, it will grab the target's soul in the neck bone and absorb the soul into the feather, bestowing the wild wind patterns on the feather with intelligence. Flowing Wind Claw. Scatter the wind elements in the wing's wind patterns into the environment and control the wind in the environment. At the same time, it can use the wind controlled by itself to attack the opponent. The attack damage is equivalent to the damage of the claw. After injuring the target, a large amount of wind elements can be injected into the target's body from the wound in an explosive manner, causing secondary damage to the target. Exclusive skill Frowny Face Unstable Temperament. During the process of contact with the Fae, it can store the Fae's exclusive skill and passive ability. At that time, the exclusive skill Unstable Temperament will become the replaced exclusive skill and passive ability. Each replacement time is limited to one cycle of the Sun and Moon. Monarch of Wind's Descendant. Turn itself into the core of all wind elements, turn itself into the eye of the hurricane, and control the surrounding wind elements. The monarch of wind, all the chaotic winds in the world are its descendants. With one look, Lin Yuan felt as if his eyes were going to fall to the ground. At that moment, Lin Yuan finally understood why the Desolation Bloodline Fae could become the Radiance Federation's representative Fae. The power of the Desolation Bloodline Fae did indeed have the qualifications to protect the Radiance Federation's vast land. The exclusive skill, Monarch of Wind's Descendant, obtained after becoming a fantasy breed, had established the Golden Wing's control over the wind elements. As long as the Golden Wing was around, any Fae that relied on the wind elements would be weakened and suppressed. The exclusive skill, Monarch of Wind's Descendant, was a passive skill that would obviously become stronger as the Golden Wing's strength increased. Previously, Lin Yuan had always felt that Zhong Zhe's Burning Sky Centipede had a shocking enhancement ability on fire element phase. Now, the Golden Wing's suppression on wind element phase was much stronger than the Burning Sky Centipede's enhancement on fire element phase. Lin Yuan did not have a pure wind element Fae. The only Fae that could match the wind element was the ability that Gray had obtained after absorbing the wind weather. Therefore, the Golden Wing's suppression on Faes that relied on the wind element to fight had almost no effect on Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan felt that after the Golden Wing became a creation breed and condensed a world of wind, it would be enough to call itself the Wind God and be crowned. As for the Golden Wing's elite ability, Flowing Wind Claw, the more Lin Yuan looked at it, the more familiar it felt. After thinking for a long time, Lin Yuan suddenly remembered that Long Tao's Sea King Chalk Mosasaur had an ability called Sea Bite. It controlled the water flow to bite the target, which was very similar to the Golden Wing's ability, Flow of Wind, which controlled the wind elements to attack the target. However, Flow of Wind had an ability that the Sea Bite did not have. It could inject the wind elements into the target's body in an explosive manner from the target's wound. If the Sea Bite's attack was compared to a pistol, then Flow of Wind's attack was equivalent to a shotgun. The true lethality did not lie on the outside but on the inside. Compared to the burning of the fire element and the heavy pressure of the water element, the wind element was famous for cutting. When the wind was forced into the body and exploded, it was equivalent to installing a high-power meat grinder inside the wound. It could cause serious damage to the inside of the wound. At the same time, the high-pressure wind entered the blood vessels and would be pumped into the heart along with the blood. If the attacked Fae's heart function was not strong enough, it was very likely to form a blockage in the heart. It would cause the Fae's blood to be unable to circulate and die. While Lin Yuan was observing the Golden Wing's attributes, he saw it wanting to lean over and rub its neck against him. Lin Yuan hurriedly stopped the Golden Wing. Every feather on the Golden Wing's neck flickered with a sharp, cold glint. If the Golden Wing were to rub against him, half of his face would probably be cut off by the Golden Wing's feathers. The Golden Wing was stopped by Lin Yuan and looked at him with some grievance. "Lin Yuan, you're so small." When Lin Yuan heard the Golden Wing's words, he could not help but support his forehead with his hand. "You're the small one. Your whole family is small." End of this chapter. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.